Inara. The festival is today. I had it marked on my calendar, never to be forgotten. Not that one could forget the coming of darkness. Well, not darkness incarnate, but he might as well be. The forest is divided into two kingdoms. First is the Sun Kingdom, beautiful and radiant, where night only fades into colors of blushing pinks, sleeping blues, light oranges, and subtle reds. Never black. Second is the Moon Kingdom, terrifying and mysterious, where days bleed darkness and shadows. Their waking and sleeping is only divided by different shades of black. The festival, held in honor of our ancestors who created the two kingdoms, is a celebration of love. Held every time a new king is crowned. The ruler of said kingdom is to travel to the opposite kingdom, look for his mate, and then drink an unhealthy amount of liquor while dancing until nightfall. It's a very obnoxiously annoying ordeal, and usually ends in disappointment, because why would the moon goddess put your mate in an opposing kingdom? It's a waste of time, and this year, it's being held in our kingdom. You can't say you aren't excited for your first ever festival, Kiana says as her hands mold strands of pink hair into curlers. My eyes leave my book at the words, tracking her movements before I say, it's not my first one. She gives me a look, then scowls as she says, you were 3 months old when the last festival happened here, and you didn't even get to dance. I roll my eyes, then pin them to my book once more. What is it with you and dancing? I mutter. An outraged gasp chases my words, and my eyes flick up, meeting steely pink ones. Dancing is a form of expression. It's like talking with your body, singing with your feet. I put a hand up. If you stop, I'll trade dish duty for a week. Kiana grins. Deal. But then she frowns. Ms. Granell won't allow us to switch obligations. A slow smile spreads across my face. But you forget I'm trained in the art of avoiding Ms. Granell's eyes. Having worked under her stare for over 8 years of my life has had me catching some slips and slides. As if our words summoned her, banging on the door has my hands reflexively shutting my book and stuffing in under the thin blankets of my bed, while Kiana drops her hands from the curlers and stands up straight. The door flies open on creaky hinges, revealing an irritated Ms. Granell. Did I say you had the rest of today off? She questions, eyes roaming over Kiana's curlers and the obvious lump under my covers before returning to us. Kiana and I simultaneously look to the floor, shaking our heads. Then why are you still up here? She practically snarls. Dinner is to be ready in 3 hours, and appetizer preparations aren't going to start themselves. Everyone will be eating in the grand house today, so I expect double time, no lounging. My heart scrunches like an overused elastic, and, despite my better judgment, my head pops up. But, miss, the festival is today, I say quietly. Her eyes narrow, fury wrinkling her face. I am quite aware of the events today, girl, she says as her feet step closer. Tell me, are you expecting everyone to starve? Are you expecting the kings to starve? I wince inwardly, angry at myself for being so foolish. I shake my head. Of course not, miss. I just thought. Pain explodes across my face, followed by Kiana's gasp. My fingers reach up to touch lightly at the abused skin, tears racing to fill my eyes. You are not here to think, as she spits. You are here to do. If you would like to continue questioning my authority, I can arrange the post to be set up for this evening. Would that be preferably to making dinner? I shudder, my mind fighting against past terrors that began with that awful place. The post is no silly threat, and I think I speak for every maid here when I say I'd rather burn both my hands on a hot pot than go there again. No, miss, ere I whisper, blinking furiously against the water pooling in my eyes. I apologize for my ignorance. I wasn't aware we were on duty tonight. She scoffs, muttering something about insolence under her breath before she says, well, now you do. You will both be present within the kitchen in 5 minutes, or punishments will be doled out. Understood? Kiana and I nod, muttering, a yes, miss. I jump when the door slams, and I almost repeat the action when a hand touches my cheek. Kiana's fingers are gentle as she prods at my face, but the tender skin is relentlessly throbbing. I don't understand why you provoke her. You know it only ends in bruises, she whispers. I lightly push her away. I'm fine, really, I reassure her, smiling softly, though it might resemble more of a grimace. We best get down there before she decides to make your face match. I wouldn't want your dance partner to get stuck with a swollen-faced girl. Her lips twitch, but despite my efforts, we both know one thing for sure. Neither of us are dancing tonight. I truly didn't think this much food existed in the world. Every counter is covered in everything from small trays of fruit and vegetables to massive plates filled with cut meats and potatoes. Behind. Someone yells, and it pulls my attention from the food and back down to the dishes I'm currently scrubbing clean. Ready to be used for dinner preparations. The cycle doesn't stop. Hair flutters from my bun, right into my eyes, but I can't exactly fix it in my current predicament, so I blow, making it fly up and right back down into my eyes. I try again. You are supposed to be cleaning those dishes, not spitting on them, a cruel voice remarks from my left. I tense, knowing exactly who that tone belongs to. Valeria, I say, teeth clenched so hard my jaw protests. I was trying to get the hair out of my face. By spitting on the dishes? She asks, her voice a mocking jeer. I don't know why I try to explain myself to her. It never ends in my favor. To her, I'm lower. Just because I'm not an anomaly. Your green hair doesn't make you superior, I mumble, biting my tongue too late. As usual. What was that? She spits. My hands grip the edge of the sink, anger making my knuckles go white. The punishment isn't worth it, I remind myself, over and over, then again, until my knuckles are back to normal and rage is no longer boiling in my gut. Then I take a deep breath before saying, I have a job to do. Make fun of my hair all you want. I know it makes you feel better about your own, as she whispers in my ear, then starts to walk away. I start scrubbing the dishes a little too hard. I know I'm not special. That title is reserved for the anomalies. The ones with hair and eyes so bright, some with colors none could dream of having. People like Kiana with eyes such a vibrant pink that it looks like dailies in the sun. Or Ms. Granell, with hair and eyes so orange it could be mistaken as the fruit. And Valeria, with the color green leaching from her hair and eyes, who never fails to remind me that my hair is nothing special, my eyes so dull they could be invisible. She could just be a little more subtle, that's all. Everyone grab a tray. MEA, the head cook, shouts. The king's carriage has arrived, and appetizers are to be going around at his arrival. Champagne trays are to be picked up with 2 hands, and don't put too many glasses on at a time. I tune her out as I grab my designated tray, my fingers wrapping around silver covered in different cheeses and fruit with little sticks. My stomach clenches, and I will it not to growl. How horrendously embarrassing would it be to have your stomach groan in a room full of people? A room with the Moon King inside it. My gut clenches again, but for an entirely different reason this time. I've never seen the Moon King before, but I've heard of his cruelty, his black heart and shadowed face. I pity the woman who must spend eternity by his side. All right, ladies. MEA shouts again. Line up. It's show time. Aziel. My temple was already throbbing from the overdose of bright colors, and now I've entered a world of noise, chaos, and constant crowds of chatter that I can hear from inside my wooden sanctuary. It's exhausting. I've never liked the idea of the festival, but now that I'm the reason for the course, my dislike has turned into a deep hatred. My father passed away, and I'm rewarded with this. I don't understand the need for a mate. One is perfectly capable of signing papers by himself, fighting battles by himself, and sleeping by himself. A mate will only be a hindrance, especially if she comes from this wonderland of horrifically bright lights and colors so vibrant they sting my very soul. The carriage comes to a halt, my heart lurching with the wheels as I straighten my jacket. Would you like me to do the honors? My wolf asks, his voice full of bored disdain. I think if it were you who jumped out of this carriage, there wouldn't be a festival anymore, I reply, even though the offer he proposes is quite tempting. Is that not what we desire? Is it exactly what we desire? But sometimes we must do what we despise. A knock on the wooden doors draws my attention away from my wolf. I take a deep breath, preparing myself before finally opening the door. If I thought the noise from inside the carriage was loud, then out here it's near deafening. I've been informed that the festival will be held in the grand house. Levi, my beater, says, voice unexpectedly soft. His features are stoic, hands folded regally in of him, but his fingers are twitching slightly, and his eyes look less than impressed. It seems I am not the only one who despises this event, and I am definitely not the only one who hates these colors. Let us get this over with, shall we? I say lowly, my hand patting his shoulder as I start towards the great house. The door looms ahead, closed yet beating with everything that goes on inside of it, taunting me with light and sound. Two of my guards walk to hold the handles of the wooden doors, eyes set on me, waiting for approval. I swallow my disgust, take a deep breath, and nod. Music assaults my ears, flashing lights hitting my eyes at every angle, my skin already clammy with the amount of people in the place. Every one of my senses is rushing to regulate through the crowds. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the new ruler of the Moon Kingdom, Aziel Maret. A speaker from somewhere announces. Applause erupts around me, and I make my face go neutral as I nod to everyone. Dances are to begin, food is to be served, and alcohol is not to be drunk lightly. Let the festival of love officially begin. The speaker says again. I don't even have time to blink before a girl is latching onto my arm and tugging, intending to dance I presume. If you would like to dance, I start, my voice so gruff it could be a growl. Then I encourage you to find a willing partner. I lean down to her ear before whispering, and I would suggest not looking here. Her pout is more of a scowl as she walks away, and I almost smirk at the sight. Are girls really that desperate to be swept into the shadows? Are you enjoying yourself? My heart cringes, and I make an effort to try and keep my face from doing the same. 1 minute I'm alone and the next another mateless female pounces. I turn around to find a girl with hair so green it could be grass sprouting from her head, and eyes that are no different from the emeralds that live in the earth. She is holding a try, and with a bolt of relief, I notice that it's champagne. A little liquid courage. She winks. I know these things can drag, but I find liquor usually helps. I take a glass, emptying it within a second before my eyes are back on her. Are you here to swindle your way into my carriage? I ask. She smirks. I have no desire to ride in your carriage. She tilts forward to murmur, I know you have far better things for me to ride. My eyebrows rise. And how would you know that? She shrugs, eyes sparkling in mischief. Lucky guess, she says. I realize eyes are starting to gather, so I clear my throat, intending to tell her of my lack of interest when a horn blares. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the Sun King, our dear Alexander James. Here we go, my wolf grumbles. Alexander nods and waves as he makes his way across the room, a smile so big it looks like it hurts on his face. His jacket is a bright yellow, matching his thick hair and crinkled eyes. Because of course the king is an anomaly. And somehow having hair the color of overripe lemons makes him special. Aziel, Alexander exclaims as he reaches me. I'm so glad you could make it. I have only heard stories of you, but I'm hoping we can get well acquainted this evening. And I'm hoping this night ends in the next 5 seconds, but we don't all get what we want, my wolf says. My lips tilt, and I use the action in my favor as I shake Alexander's hand. It's great to finally put a face with the stories, I say. His smile makes my face mourn the stoicism it usually holds, but I keep my lips slightly tipped, hoping it doesn't look like a grimace. Have you found the lucky girl yet? He asks, excitement lighting every feature. Right. The whole reason I'm here. Because I would much rather spend my days with an annoyingly enthusiastic neon pink-haired girl than in solitude with myself. I cross my arms, hoping the gesture looks more casual than it feels. I'm afraid that meeting has not happened yet. His smirk is obnoxiously gleeful as he says, well, the night is still very young, and not everyone has arrived. He pats my back, and I resist the urge to flinch. I have no doubt you will find a partner tonight, Aziel. Did he actually just say that this isn't everyone? My wolf whines. Yes. Yes, he did. Restlessness stirs inside me, my legs suddenly deciding that standing here isn't a good idea. Excuse me, Alexander, I say. Then I'm practically sprinting away. Not that there's anywhere to go except further into the blinding lighting and raging music. Am I the only one that smells vanilla? I ignore my wolf, my steps quickening even more if that's possible. Escape isn't coming easy, but I just. A body slams into mine, followed by the sound of a dish clattering to the floor. Reflexively, my hands reach out, grasping a waist that fits perfectly in my arms. Oh my goodness. A female voice says. I'm so sorry. I wasn't watching where I was going and I. A gasp rips from her lips, and I finally look into startled blue eyes. It's like gazing at the ocean, framed by sand the color of creamy silk. My thoughts race and screech over each other until one word becomes crystal clear. Mate. Fear flickers through her eyes as she slowly backs away, and my heart clenches for some odd reason. You clumsy girl. Someone yells. I look up to see an orange cloud of rage storming towards us. I am incredibly sorry, Your Majesty. I can assure you that it won't happen again. Ms. Orange says as she grabs the girl's wrist. Her grip looks bruising, but I'm too stunned to do anything but stare as they walk away. You will spend your night in the post for that little stunt, I hear her say as she drags the girl behind her. No, the girl whimpers. Please. I promise it was only an accident. I'll be more careful. My chest lurches. Everything hurts and I have no idea why. Mate is crying. My wolf whines. My head comes back with a shock, and then suddenly my feet are moving. I don't know what the post is, but I can make sure this girl stays out of it tonight. Inara. The Moon King is my mate. The thought loops in my head like a broken track, playing the same 6 words over and over. I had known the minute our eyes locked. It was like a click had shuttered, and suddenly, I was standing in front of a dream. I never even dared to think about having a mate, and now he's here. In the grand hall. I know he won't want me the minute he realizes what I am, but I'm fine with that. I would rather live in the post than go to the Moon Kingdom. The pressure on my arm forces my brain to focus on the bruising grip Ms. Granell has on my arm, and I try to hold in my wince as we walk outside. Spiders of dread crawl all over me, their tiny legs pricking me with the warning of the danger that's coming. I should just put you in here to begin with, and Ms. Granell grumbles. You're always causing trouble. Always messing up. And of all people, you chose the Moon King. I shiver as the post comes into view, my body knowing exactly what comes next. I didn't mean to, I all but whimper. It was an accident. Her nails puncture my skin, and I bite my lip to keep from crying out as sharp pain rolls up my arm. You don't do accidents, as she growls. You always sabotage everything. Don't stand there and feed me words I know and nothing but lies, girl. My eyes fill as she opens the iron gate surrounding the sand-covered ground, but I use everything I have to hold my tears back. I will not cry. I am so tired of shedding tears when the only outcome is more punishments. The metal pole stands tall and proud in the middle of the ring. The chains I'm all too familiar with hang from its sides. Ms. Granell shoves me to my knees when we get close enough, and I look to my other side as she wraps the first chain around my wrist. A full-body shudder rocks me when she finishes with the other one, and it takes everything I have to keep myself from begging for forgiveness. Begging for another chance. It won't do anything, and knowing her, she will probably take pleasure in it. I sentence you to 3 nights and 20 lashings for each one, and Ms. Granell states, evil glee radiating in every syllable. I gawk at her, barely containing a scream of rage from escaping. I didn't mean it. I promise. It was an accident. I can't help from saying, terror-locking all my limbs as the tears win the war and start to fall. I can barely survive 1 night with 5 lashes. I'll die before the 2nd night is through. It's too much, and she knows it. I'm just an expendable maid here. One that's trouble isn't worth her service. My eyes plead with her, agony flooding every inch of my body as I beg without words for one last chance. She smiles, but there's nothing warm about it. Maybe I'll let the Moon King have the pleasure in dealing out the first 20 lashes, considering it was you who bulldozed over his body with absolutely no respect. I shake my head violently, sheer terror enveloping me in an embrace so tight that my lungs constrict. The only thing I will take pleasure in is tearing your limbs off your body one by one if you don't unchain the girl, a growling voice says from the entrance of the gate. Immediately. My head swivels so fast and sudden that my eyes need a moment to focus on who is standing outside the iron gate. When I finally recognize who it is, even my skin seems to tremble as I hold my breath, waiting for the moment he realizes what I am. The moment when he takes that strip of leather and whips it across my body. Your Highness? Ms. Granell squeaks. I'm not sure I understand. Did I stutter? The Moon King snarls, eyes taking on a black tinge as if he's trying to hold his wolf back but failing miserably. Ms. Granell's fingers start to shake ever so slightly as she answers, and no, Your Highness. Of course not. I'm just unsure of what you are saying. The Moon King reaches out, and in one swift movement, shatters the iron latch in his first before stepping inside the ring of sand. I am saying, he starts slowly, his feet taking step by terrifying step towards us. That if you don't unchain my mate this instant, I will let my wolf eat your bones. Breathing is a losing battle at this point, and I'm pretty sure every single one of my limbs is numb. Ms. Granell gasps, her hand coming up to cover her mouth as her eyes morph into saucers. Your mate? She asks incredulously. With all due respect, Your Highness, she can't be your mate. She is nothing but a maid. His growl this time is nothing but inhuman and feral. His wolf. I want to ask again. He says so low I almost don't catch it. Ms. Granell swallows audibly before fumbling to unravel my wrists from their chained prison. I roll the tender joints once the metal is off, holding back a cringe at the purple already starting to stain my skin. My eyes trail up of their own accord, finding the silence too still. Swirls of amber greet me, and the oxygen in my lungs freezes for a second before starting to force itself out of my mouth in giant bursts. Even his eyes look like they could slice you in half. Why is he still here? Didn't he hear Ms. Granell? I'm nothing but a maid. His gaze searches me, looking for what, I don't know, but something inside of me stirs nervously with his attention so solidly on me. Follow me, he commands softly, like the animalistic rage he just let free never happened. My body complies without thinking. Following orders is like a second nature to me. There has to be some kind of mistake, and Ms. Granell sputters as she hurries after us. She just can't be your mate. If I wanted your opinion I would be asked for it, the Moon King says coolly. Keep your mouth shut about what you think she can or can't be, since clearly you have no idea. She flinches, and an odd sort of satisfaction fills me at our roles being reversed for once. The grand hall comes back into view, its elaborate golden windows shimmering from the sun that beats a steady rhythm through the kingdom. Stay behind me, the Moon King orders. With a jolt, I realize the command is for me. I nod stiffly, my body paralyzed with the fear of going back in there only to be humiliated by the revelation that I have a mate who doesn't want me. The laughter and pointing that will follow the words. A tremor works its way up my spine, and I see the hint of a frown on the Moon King's face before he turns back around and opens the door. The man of the hour. I've been looking for you everywhere. Where did Alexander's face contorts in disgust as he catches sight of me, and I try to shrink into the floor as his gaze narrows on my figure. I would run back into the kitchen if the Moon King hadn't ordered otherwise. Is there a reason you are lurking like an unwanted bug behind royalty? Alexander asks with a scowl twisting his face. Go back to the kitchen, maid, or punishment will be doled out. I look at my worn grey sneakers as I start to obey him, but the Moon King puts an arm out to block my path. Actually, Alexander, she will be going nowhere except with me, he says, voice chilled. Meet my mate. Aziel. Alexander stares at me, dumbfounded, his lips moving up and down but making no sounds. I honestly feel the same way. Coming here with the expectations of a bright, annoyingly obnoxious rainbow of chaos as a mate made finding the girl behind me feel like waking up and realizing the amazing dream you just had wasn't a dream at all. I came here knowing that if I found a mate, I would reject her on the spot, but then her eyes looked into mine. I saw the pain that swirled in her gaze as she kneeled in front of a pole, and I couldn't do anything but declare that she was mine. One look at her shaking frame in the sand and I knew that I would protect this girl with my life. She is not an anomaly, and for some, that might be a con. A lot of people in this kingdom consider the anomalies to be superior and higher up in the ranks, but I think the opposite. Having hair the color of oranges and eyes to match only makes them stand out in a crowd that needs more attention than they do. It makes them distracting and hard to hold eye contact. My mate is normal, and I wouldn't have it any other way. You can't Alexander sputters, his face turning a deep shade of red. She is a maid. She can't possibly be mated to you. I can physically feel the way his words hit the girl behind me, every letter making her shrink a little more into herself. Why is everyone so concerned with what she can do? I ask, my voice void of anything friendly or warm. Is she not capable of speaking for herself? Alexander sighs as he shakes his head. I'm sorry, Aziel, but I won't let you leave here with some worthless servant, he says in disgust. Have you looked around the room? There's plenty. His words drop off with a choke as my hand locks around his throat, my face right in front of his as I say, you may be a king, but I won't hesitate to rip your vocal cords out if you so much as look at her again. That girl you call worthless will be coming home with me, and I will smirk at your odd face as you witness her being crowned my queen. I release him with a shove, the crowd that had gathered backing up with gasps of horror. I lock eyes with Levi from across the room, his hand holding a glass of champagne as he lazily watches all of this unfold. I make the signal we created to get me out of countless board meetings, and without a word he sets his glass down and heads for the door. If we don't leave soon, this will end in a bloodbath, my wolf growls. I can already smell the tolls of danger. Thank you for the party, Alexander, I say coolly. It was grand to finally meet you, although I hope the pleasure evades us in the future. I turn around, but the Sun King obviously has different ideas of how this ends. You cannot have her. He shouts right before I dodge his attempt at tackling me. He stumbles before righting his feet and getting in a fighting stance, his eyes full of unrestrained fury. You can't take what I'm not willing to give you. This is my kingdom, and I will not be disrespected in my own home. He shouts. He really went from 0 to 100 within a second, my wolf says. Would you like me to handle this one? No. I got it. Pain flares up my cheek, and I swipe my thumb across my lip to find blood staining the tip. So that's how he wants to play. You won't like how this ends, I warn. Just let us go in peace. His fangs flash right before he says, you ditched peace the moment your hand wrapped around my neck. I guess he kinder has a point, but I'm known for striking first and talking second. I wasn't about to let him talk my mate down when she was right there. Right there. Shit. I look over to find her huddled in the corner, hands tightly clasped around her mouth and eyes screwed shut. Why didn't she run? Is natural instinct not a thing anymore? A fist comes into view, and I duck right before the blow meets my nose. I throw one of my own, catching him in the stomach and watching as he doubles over. Enough. I growl. Is this really the behavior you want your people seeing? You are scaring your subjects. He looks around with a frown, as if just realizing we aren't alone. Both of our guards stand close by, ready to intervene when told to, and all of his people watch the fight with wide, terrified eyes. This isn't over, he says lowly, just for my ears. But for the sake of my people, you take that rag of filth and get out of my kingdom. My wolf snarls, but I just turn around. I have no idea how to deal with the trembling mess of my mate in the corner, but I don't have time to figure it out in here. I slowly slip my arms under her knees and back, lifting her off the ground and into my arms. Her eyes shoot open with a gasp, gaze flitting everywhere as her breathing turns more and more ragged. Sure, I try to soothe. You're okay now. I promise you're safe. It does nothing to calm her, but I fear if we linger here any longer, Alexander will change his mind and kill us both. So I hurry out the doors and towards the carriage, my guards following close behind. Levi opens the wooden doors, and I carefully set my mate inside before taking the seat across from her. The door shuts with a click, and a minute later we're moving, starting the long journey back home. Silence. Usually I love the sound of nothing. I love the noise that disappears once I'm alone, but staring at my mate as she looks out the tiny window silent and still unnerves me in a way I'm not used to. Talk to her, my wolf demands. You're acting like a teenager in high school, waiting for her to make the first move. Awesome. I love being demoted to a lovesick teenager. I clear my throat before asking, what is your name? She flinches, and something inside of me stretches tight. I guess I deserve that. My little display of violence wasn't exactly admirable mate material. Inara Graham, she whispers without looking at me. Inara, I repeat, testing it out. I don't miss the deep breath and flutter of her lashes as the words leave my lips, and I barely keep a smirk from rising. Are you aware of what is happening, Inara? I ask, making sure we're on the same page. You know how the festival works? I would hope everyone in both kingdoms would be educated on the subject, but I'm so desperate for a topic that I'm grasping at used straws. She doesn't answer, her eyes moving to her lap as she gnaws on her lips. Inara? She sucks in a giant breath before muttering, I can't be your mate. I run a hand through my hair, mumbling, and not this bullshit again. I slide closer to the edge of the seat and rest my elbows on my knees as I ask, do you doubt my wolf's ability to scent his own mate? Her eyes widen and shoot to mine, panic radiating from every inch of her. No, Your Highness. I didn't mean that. I just meant that You will never use that title with me, I interrupt. She blinks rapidly, head nodding in jerky movements. Of course. Your Majesty, I just meant that. No, I interrupt again. Her breathing becomes laborious, eyes so wide I'm surprised they're still inside her head. I am. Your Kingliness? I scoff and shake my head. You are my equal, I state, eyes holding her terrified ones. Not my subject, and definitely not my servant. You will address me by my name, as I will address you by yours. She is terrified, trembling head to toe with the notion that I'm scolding her for forgetting my preferred title. Are they really so callous in the Sun Kingdom? Would she have been punished for addressing someone with the wrong name? I will murder them all, my wolf snarls, his fangs nipping the air. What other foolish mishaps has she been beaten for? She looks so scared and fragile, like one more crack will shatter her entire being. My jaw works, fury rippling in my veins like waves in the ocean, every lap making my blood boil. I don't care how the Sun Kingdom did things, I say, my voice chilled. Things will be different in my kingdom. She nods stiffly, eyes back on the window. Fine. Silence it is. Inara. I have successfully trained my head to stay turned to the right, facing the window. Not facing him. I can't really see anything besides faint light and an occasional outline of a hill, but I don't trust myself to look at the alternative. I've already messed up too many times, and now I don't even know what to call him without receiving a sigh of disapproval. If I'm looking at the window, then at least I don't have to try and understand the rules and regulations of his person. At least not yet. I'm very aware of the danger that lurks just a day's ride away. I'm very aware that I'm being carted off to the Moon Kingdom under the assumption that I can rule by the King's side. I can't even get his title right, and yet he thinks I'm strong enough to stand beside him and be crowned a queen. I have lived a life of dishes and dirty sheets. I'm not even near the level of royalty he thinks I am. My thoughts screech to a stop when the carriage halts so fast and sudden that I'm promptly thrown into the King's lap. I push myself away so quickly that I'm surprised I evaded whiplash as I climb back onto my side. I'm so sorry. I say in a rush. I didn't mean to do that. It was accident and He holds a hand up, and I take that as my sign to shut up. I'm definitely dead. I can't even imagine the horrible punishments they must house in the moon pack, but I won't have to be imagining anymore. I'll have to endure everything he wants me to. Goodness, how could I be so stupid? Ms. Granell is right. I do have a knack for messing up. My accidents happen too often. I'm too clumsy. Inara, the Moon King says quietly. Just my name. A shiver climbs up my spine, but I'm almost certain it's not from fear. My eyes tentatively look up, my body so tense that my muscles cringe. His expression isn't he mad though. In fact, he has no emotion on his face. It's void of anything and everything. Why does that seem 10 times worse? Are you apologizing on behalf of the road, or the carriage? He asks. I blink, then blink again, and again. What? He tilts his head, studying me like one would a puzzle with several intricate pieces. Who are you apologizing for? My brows scrunch, confusion lighting my bones like a match. I'm apologizing for myself. For landing on top of you, I say slowly, making sure we're on the same page this time. He leans forward, and my body tenses even more, rods of terror shoving themselves down my spine as I hold my breath. The blow doesn't come. Instead he simply asks, what exactly made you land on me, Inara? My eyes narrow slightly, this conversation's starting to sound more and more like a lesson. But what is he trying to teach me? The carriage, I mutter. He raises his eyebrows. So why is it your fault? He's playing with me. He has to be. The endless stories I was told about the violence and horror that resides in the Moon Kingdom can't evade its king. 1's surroundings will never not penetrate 1's mind. It's not. I ask quietly, waiting for the moment he laughs in my face. Except he doesn't. He just nods before sitting back up and knocking on the back of the wooden carriage. What just happened? The door opens a second later, and a curly blonde appears, his eyes so green that they shine in the afternoon sun. There's a fallen tree, Your Highness. We're almost done cleaning it up, the blonde says. The Moon King nods before replying, a thank you, Levi. Let me know if complications arise. Of course, Your Highness. And then the door shuts once again, silence bathing us in waters of discomfort. I didn't think silence could stretch, but it's like I can physically feel the little tendrils pulling taut. My body starts to feel clammy and fevered. Claustrophobia has never been a problem until now. Is this claustrophobia? All I know is that the presence of a ridiculously intimidating and maybe a little attractive man is enough to have me feeling itchy and uncomfortable, like my skin doesn't fit me right. My gaze trails up for some bizarre reason, and I catch amber ones staring back at me, curiosity swirling in the depths. I look back down at my lap, heat climbing up my cheeks at an alarming pace. I just had to look up, didn't I? I just had to lock eyes with the most terrifying, horrific, awful, beautiful, attractive, It's just the mate bond. I scold myself. If you actually had feelings for the male sitting across from you, I would probably contact the Kingdom Healer. Is there something wrong with your pants? The Moon King asks. My head snaps up, eyes once again locking with his. What do you mean? My body shrinks inward, instinct making every muscle bunch up, preparing for a hit. I can't believe I just questioned the Moon King. You just seem to like staring at them. My eyebrows cave, eyes again looking down. You can look at me, Inara, he interrupts softly. I'm not that scary. Alarm zips through me. I didn't think you were. I say quickly. I would never assume like that. I mean, I find you a little intimidating, but oh no. Please just stop. I don't find you horrifically terrifying or anything because just shut up, Inara, please. Royalty is entitled to be as scary as they want. Including you. Wow. That was a lot. Why can't you just shut your mouth? Inara, he commands lowly, his voice edging on dangerous. You see? You made him mad. I cringe, heart plunging into my stomach as I look up. His eyes switch between mine for a moment before he says, I will never hurt you. Ever. He pronounces each word with a force, like every syllable needs to be engraved into my head. I can't tell if this is another game or joke, but the jolt of the carriage starting to move again saves me from needing to answer. I have survived the first half of the trip. Only my whole future to go. I wake with a startle, my eyes opening to nothing. It's pitch black. I can't see anything. Not even a blurry outline or distorted image. It's like imagining you're opening your eyes only to realize that they're still screwed shut. Wait, are they shut? Nope. It's just that dark. It's terrifying, suffocating, and horrible. It's like the air is clogged with black smoke. I can't breathe through the thick fog coating my throat. I can't breathe. There's no air. I can't breathe. Everything is thick and heavy. I can't British English. Inara, love, take a breath for me. Can't he understand that I'm trying? Panic is starting to flood my heart in a wild rush as my lungs constrict, begging for oxygen that won't come. A body is suddenly beside me, calloused hands cupping my cheeks. Breathe, Inara, the Moon King commands softly. I can't see his face, but I screw my eyes shut anyway, desperately trying to get air to work through me. He grabs one of my hands gently, but I don't have the strength to react as he places it against his chest. Come on, love. Copy me, okay? I feel his chest rise and fall in a deep breath under my fingers, the motion more calming than I'd ever expect. In and out. That's all. In and out. A stuttered inhale whooshes in the silence, and with a gust of relief I realize it came from me. A low curse is muttered before the Moon King strokes my cheek gently. There you go. Good girl. My brain registers what he said, but doesn't he quite hear it as I keep copying his deep breathing. It's the only thing I know how to do in this moment. Just keep breathing. You gave me quite the scare. Whatever would possess you to stop breathing? He asks, still soft, like approaching a baby deer with words. I'm not about to complain about his kingdom, so I just stay quiet. It's not like he can turn the darkness off. This is my new normal, and I have to get used to it. My eyes finally open, head lifting slightly as I test out the lightheadedness from earlier. It's still there but fading, the remnants of a headache lulling gently away. It's still dark, but I can make out a faded dark blue outline of a window, the moon trying to poke through but not yet succeeding. I've never seen the moon, and the thought that all I have to do is shift that blind to reveal it fills me with an odd sense of excitement. The carriage comes to a stop, smoother than last time, and the Moon King smiles as he takes another deep breath. We're here, he says, turning to me. Welcome to your kingdom, Inara. Aziel. The relief I feel as soon as I step out of the stuffy carriage and back into my own kingdom is incredible. It's like coming up for air after being under the water too long, refreshing and clarifying oxygen filling my lungs. The darkness of the sky washes over my skin, taking away the sticky remnants of the sun and heat. I love it. I wait for my newfound other half to step out behind me, but the space at my back remains empty. I peek inside the wooden dome to reveal Inara sitting as rigid as a pole, peeking out of the blind and breathing like she just ran a marathon. You forget how different this world is to her. She is not used to being bathed in shadow, my wolf points out, irritated. Sometimes you can be a pretty helpful mutt, I reply begrudgingly. I hop back into the carriage and shut the door, emitting a gasp from Inara as she whips her head back to face me, terror making her features look pinched. My precious mate, what on earth have you endured? What did they put you through in that awful kingdom? What are you? She shakes her head with a cringe before saying, I mean you can do whatever you please, but what? We are doing this at your pace, I interject lightly, my tone so soothing I almost can't believe it's mine. If you want to sit in this carriage all night, then that's what we'll do. Her eyes go wide, body practically tripping over itself as she scrambles to the door. Oh no, Your Highness. I don't need any more time. I'm perfectly fine to go out now. A sigh slips past my lips before I gently grab her hips and set her back in her sit. I immediately regret the action, however, because now both of us are staring at my hands. Me with a raging desire to slip them beneath her shirt and feel how soft her skin is under my fingers. Her probably terrified I'm about to harm her in some way. I slowly move them away, ignoring every instinct that's begging me for more. Let yourself adjust to the new atmosphere, and then we can think about the next steps, I murmur softly. Her cheeks turn a dark shade of rose as she fidgets with her fingers nervously. I'm sorry, she whispers. This girl. Don't apologize for being normal. Silence follows my words, but I'm okay with that. I know what it feels like to enter a kingdom with entirely new aspects and views. It's daunting, and incredibly difficult to adjust to. The panic attack she had earlier can attest to that fact. She was so scared, and I was utterly powerless to help her. It was terrifying. I'm sorry you had to leave the festival early because of me, Inara's quiet voice rings out. I know that you probably wanted to embrace all the sun and... I hate the sun, I interrupt. And I couldn't care less about the rest of that frilly festival. I went there for one thing, and she's sitting in front of me. That's a lie. I actually went to reject that one thing, but thinking about it now makes me want to throw something. Her cheeks turn that delicate shade of red again before she mutters, I'm ready now. I raise my eyebrows, head tilting down until our eyes meet before asking, are you sure? She takes a deep breath before nodding, her eyes searching mine, looking for disapproval or anger, I assume. I smile lightly as I push the door open and gesture with my hand. Go ahead. Her hands slide over her thighs several times before her head dips and she steps down the carriage steps. My hand touches her lower back gently when I join her, ignoring the flinch she emits at my touch as I guide her away from the road. Aziel. My mother's voice shouts as she runs down the palace steps. Why are you home so early? Did you She's gushing from head to toe, tears filling her eyes as she reaches down to grasp Inara's hands. Inara leans back slightly, posture going rigid as my mother lightly squeezes her fingers. Oh, you are positively gorgeous. What is your name, dear? Inara swallows, fear practically pulsing off of her as she stutters, Inara. What a lovely name. You'll fit right in here, my dear. Mother, I interject before she starts again. Inara is actually quite tired from the trip. I think maybe some rest is needed before any more introductions or questions. Her eyes fly wide with concern before she squeezes Inara's hands once more and lets go. Of course. Sleep as much as you like, sweetheart. I steer Inara a little farther to the palace steps, but am once again cut short. This is the lucky girl, here? My third whistles low before patting my shoulder and winking. Good job, man. I swear he is the only person in this kingdom besides my mother who doesn't he treat me like the royalty I am, and usually I love that about him, but Inara is practically trembling at this point. She is overstimulated and completely overwhelmed. Entering a new kingdom was a thing in itself, but being bombarded with everything within it? That is too much. Not now, Henry. I dismiss him as I walk right past him. Inara's feet stumble up the steps at such a fast pace that I'm surprised she doesn't fall flat on her face before reaching the top. She stares wide-eyed at the midnight black doors, her head tilting up as she surveys the glittering palace I call home. It's my favorite building in the entire kingdom. Its walls are black and grey with glittery highlights, and black glass shimmering in all the corners. Vines of painted stars climb up the rough exterior, each one a different constellation. It's like midnight in physical form. Inara trails one of her fingers along the curved arch of stars lining the door, but then she quickly retracts her hand as if she was scorched. I'm sorry, she mutters. It's just so beautiful. She shakes her head with a cringe before folding her hands neatly in front of her. You don't have to apologize for admiring what is yours, I whisper in her ear, so close that my breath makes little tendrils of her hair flutter. She shivers, and I almost smirk, but then her eyes drop to her folded hands, silent once more. I sigh before brushing my hand against the doors, prompting them to open. Lamps flicker in almost every corner, but it's still a representation of the darkest night as I step inside, waiting to hear Inara's hesitant steps behind me before continuing. Oh my stars, Your Highness. A voice calls from behind me. I'm so glad you're back early. The hunters have just arrived back from the unknown woods and I believe they found. That is enough, Thomas. I roar. The frightened gasp from Inara makes me come back to reality, and I quickly calm my expression and emotions as I say, this is not a topic to be discussed in the foyer. Tell Sheila to arrange a meeting for tomorrow morning at 10. I will not be disturbed until then. Understand? My advisor swallows audibly before nodding in a quick, jerky movement. Of course, Your Highness. Consider it done. I don't wait for any more words to be exchanged before I lay a hand on Inara's lower back and guide her to the giant staircase covered in black rug in the center of the room. Her trembling is back, and my heart cringes as I realize it's probably because of my outburst. I mentally chastise Thomas for being so blatantly ignorant. Not even my own mother knows of the topic he almost gave to everyone in the castle. It's not something I wish to share with anyone until I know for sure what I'm dealing with. Inara stops walking at the pores in the staircase, looking at both branching trails before I guide her to the right one. She doesn't make a single complaint as we finally reach the king's floor, and I don't know if I should be grateful or worried at her lack of reaction. My door opens as soon as it senses my presence, and Inara gasps as the doors swing open without even a tap of physical contact. The palace is attuned to whoever rules within it. It is designed to serve its ruler, I explain as she slowly steps inside. Is this really your room? She asks in awe, looking around the room with an adorable sense of curiosity. I lean against the door frame, my posture and emotions trying to mock nonchalance as I reply, no, Inara. This is our room. Inara. Our room. The single word bounces around my skull so many times that I half expect it to shatter. He wants me to sleep in the same room as him. Share quarters with him. Share space with him. Share a bed. No, I couldn't possibly be allowed to sleep in his bed. Right? But he has surprised me before, and maybe he wants other things. I shudder, my mouth opening before I even process the words that spew out. I'm a virgin, I blurt. The revelation hangs in the air, tainting the oxygen with tension and discomfort. I always speak first, think second, just like Ms. Granell constantly said. I really just can't keep it together, can I? I just keep messing up left and right. His brows furrow, hand rubbing across his jaw as he scoffs. You think how could I can't believe you thought his words come out in fractured letters, his incredulity made known in every clench and twitch of his expression and body. Excuse me, he mutters through clenched teeth, anger steaming a steady trail behind him as he walks into the bathroom and slams the door shut. Oh no, I breathe, terror seeping into my bones like melted butter, hot and unmistakable. He is furious with me, and I can only guess what he took out of that statement. I'm too innocent. I want to be able to take him well. I'm still a child. I can't. Panic comes like a heavy wave as a new realization comes into focus. I'm inexperienced. I don't have knowledge on how to please him. I can't meet his needs because I have no idea where to even start. I want to be able to satisfy his cravings without his constant help. I can't even know when he needs it because I don't know what signs to look for. What does arousal do to someone? What does it do to a king? How often does he need things? My breathing climbs, reaching a concerning pace as I slip down to my knees. My back is flush against the foot of the bed as I stare at the bathroom door, willing him to come out and talk. Willing him to hear me out before he throws me out of the palace. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Why can't I get anything right? I'm a walking disaster, always one step away from making another mistake, and the king had to figure it out sometime. He had to find out. I just sped up the process. Maybe he'll take it as doing him a favor, and instead of killing me, he will elegantly deposit me back in the Sun Kingdom. But what if he doesn't take it as a favor? Dread curls around the nape of my neck, gripping with enough pressure to bruise. Am I about to die? I shoot up from the floor with little to no grace before hesitantly tiptoeing to the bathroom door. My hand hovers above the black speckled wood, indecision warring in every part of my body. If I take initiative and explain myself before he has to ask, then maybe his appreciation will outweigh his anger. If I stay silent and excuse him as he asked, maybe he will reward my good behavior and send me packing instead of to the gallows. Or maybe both options will end in my head on the floor. My hand thrusts forward, but no sound comes. My fist connects with air, and I look up to find the Moon King standing there, an expression of weariness settled on his face. Great. I'm making him tired on top of everything else. I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. I rush to explain before he opens his mouth. I wasn't very well educated on that area, but I can learn. I will teach myself, so you don't have to do anything. Or if you would rather just find a better suited partner for your needs, then I completely understand. I promise I will do whatever you say. I'm a very quick learner and I bet I can find books that. Inara, he interrupts, his eyes closing with a tired sigh. My shoulders sag. He doesn't like my options. And why would he? He is a king. He can have anyone he wants. I take a deep breath, my resignation clearer than the Sun Kingdom-esque sky in the early morning. I understand, Your Majesty. His eyes fly open, alarm filling his face before realization and then horror. What are you know, Inara? I just see his hands rub down his face before he finally says, I would like to talk to you about this, because what you think is very different from what I'm currently thinking. He walks over to the bed before motioning for me to follow. I walk over, rigid as ever, before carefully pulling myself up and sitting still and quiet as a mouse. What do you think I want from you? Tonight, I mean. What did you think I wanted when I said we're sharing this room? I shift uncomfortably, My clothes suddenly 10 degrees warmer and my skin itchy in all different places. Sex, I finally whisper. He nods, his jaw clenching before he relaxes it. And you think you aren't experienced enough to give me what I desire because you're a virgin? I swallow nervously. Yes. Okay. Now can I tell you what I think? My alarmed eyes meet his. Why is he asking my permission? His eyebrows raise and I quickly nod my head with way too much force. First, this bedroom is for more than just sex, and I don't intend to even think about that subject until you are settled and comfortable here. Second, you being a virgin doesn't make me think anything less of you. You are not any less valuable to me than before I knew. Third, if we were to finally have sex, it would be under your terms. I will never make you uncomfortable intentionally, and I won't put my hands on you unless you want them there. His fingers brush the underside of my chin before lifting it, so my eyes are forced to meet the fierceness reflected in his. And I hate my formal title on your lips. I beg you to find anything more suitable to call me. Does that all make sense? I blink several times before nodding slowly, my gaze searching his, desperately trying to find the lie, the trick or game, but there doesn't seem to be one. Good. Would you like a shower before bed? Surprise fills me as I hesitantly ask, am I allowed? We were allotted one quick shower a week, because hygiene was to never be put above chores. Anger fills his eyes for a flash of a second before he smiles gently and leads me into the bathroom. I smell like him. It's all I can think about as I step out of the shower. The scent lingers in the air, filling my nose with mint and cedar. It's so pleasant that I debated staying in the stream of water and sniff his soap over and over, letting it fill up my respiratory system so it never leaves. My old clothes lay in a heap by the bath mat, and I go to slip them back on before catching sight of the neatly folded pile on the counter by the sink. It's a hoodie, I realize as I pick it up, and he must have set it in here while I was lavishing myself in his amazing shower. I slip it over my head, my nose immediately taking in more of his smell. It's like a drug, and I'm so addicted already it's concerning. He didn't leave me any pants, but when I look down, I find the hem of his hoodie almost touches my knees. It should be fine. Right? I reach out for the doorknob before snatching my hand back when I realize my fingers are trembling. I take a deep breath before trying once more, the door opening with a swish of chilled air. I don't see the king anywhere, and a bolt of panic flushes through me. Did he leave me here alone? I stand there awkwardly, my fingers fidgeting as I debate my next step. Should I maybe go look for him? Or maybe I should. Oh my heated suns. The Moon King emerges from the closet I hadn't seen before now with nothing but sweatpants hanging low on his hips. To say his chest is muscular would be doing it a disservice. I swear it looks like it was carved from stone. I think I may need to admire his body more often. My eyes trail up slowly before meeting a tense jaw paired with oh no. His black gaze pierces every corner of my body before he closes his eyes and shakes his head. His eyes are the soft amber I've come to know when they open again, and relief floods my body as his wolf-esque presence leaves. I'm sorry, I say. This was on the counter and I assumed I cringe, unable to finish as Ms. Granell's words fill my head. Assuming is as good as stealing something because you wanted it to be yours. You aren't here to assume, child. The king's lips twitch as he says, I'm not mad, love. It was for you. I was just taken off guard when your beauty hit me. I should have known my clothes would make you look utterly adorable. My body flushes hot, I searching his before dragging them down to my bare feet. I shouldn't love those words as much as I do, and despite knowing I shouldn't I put them in a special place in my heart, savoring them for later. I make my feet move toward the bed before awkwardness fills the room, and he thankfully takes the hint. He shuts the lamp off before strolling to the bed, bathing the room in darkness except for the moonlight that shines lightly from the window. I hesitate, my nerves pinching tight before I quickly grab a loose blanket from the bed and drop to the floor. "Inara?" The king asks. "What are you doing?" I wrap the blanket tighter around myself as I reply, going to sleep, I cut myself off, remembering his plea. A sigh sounds before a muttered, "All right then." Rustling follows, then a whole lot of shifting, and then a warm body drops behind mine. The king. On the floor. The king is on the floor. Aziel. I have decided that stupid assumptions will now be called out with stupid actions. Hence why I'm currently lying on the hard floor. It was not a sane decision, and I know my back will murder me for it later, but if my mate insists on being ridiculous, I have no choice but to follow in her steps. "Who is the dog here?" My wolf asks smugly. "Because you aren't head over heels already?" I throw back. A grunt is all I receive in return, and I almost smirk. "What are you doing?" Inara whispers, panic gripping every word. Her near-constant fear makes my gut clench uncomfortably. Patience has never seemed more valuable than whenever I speak to her. "Funny," I mutter, my fingers trailing lightly in her hair. "I was about to ask you the exact same thing." Her posture is stiff, but I don't stop my gentle brushing, and eventually I'm rewarded by her finally relaxing her shoulders. Relief is like a boulder as it crashes over me. "I'm going to sleep," she mutters. "Tell me, do you often sleep on the floor?" An exhale falls from her lips before she whispers, "No, but I couldn't possibly be exactly what I said you were? Did I stutter when I called you my equal? And if you couldn't possibly sleep in our bed, then as your equal, I couldn't possibly sleep in it either." Silence follows my words, and it's like I can physically feel the indecision writhing inside of her mind. My lips almost touch the shell of her ear as I lean in to whisper, "I'm asking you to sleep in that bed with me, Inara, and I'm promising you that no punishment will come to you because of it. You are safe here." "But oh, for goodness sake," I mutter before standing and swooping her up in one swift movement. It wasn't up for debate, love. Her brows are furrowed, fear and confusion marking her features and wrinkles as I set her down on the plush comforter. She sits still and wide-eyed, staring at my face as I climb in after her. "What did they tell you?" Her eyes get impossibly wider as she stutters, what?" I gesture at her rigid position before saying, "Whoever made you scared. What did they tell you that makes you think you can't sleep here?" Her throat rolls with a swallow before she clears her throat, fingers fidgeting restlessly in her lap. "If we are to occupy another bed, then we are to occupy their company. We are to provide them entertainment outside the bedroom and inside the bedroom." Her words sound like an ad. Monotone and practiced, like the words have been drilled into her head over and over. It makes me sick. I unclench my jaw from the involuntary lock it adorned before making my expression look less deadly. "I expect nothing of you except sleep. Boys who need entertainment clearly misunderstand the morals of men." She blinks several times before looking down at the soft black fabric of her pillow with longing. I can only imagine how exhausted she is, and an odd sense of relief fills me as she tentatively lies down. "Thank you," she whispers before quickly turning so her back faces me. I fall asleep with a smile on my face. "Your mother is at a brunch date," Thomas informs me as I walk to the conference room. I ensured her presence was occupied elsewhere for this particular meeting. I had slept late, underestimating the exhaustion infused inside me until Inara made rest easy. It had been the best sleep of my life. I'd be an hour late to any meeting if it meant I could do it again. Who is present? I ask as the conference room doors come into view. Levi, and 3 of the soldiers from the unknown woods, Your Highness. The doors open with a swish of air that brings the smell of stale dust to my nose, reminding me of all the countless nights I spent in here with my father, discussing topics that I now use as daily routine. The smell is familiar, calming. The chatter and rustling cease as I walk around to my chair at the head of the table, silence a living thing that mixes with the oxygen. Report, I demand from the soldiers sitting for chairs to my left. The one sitting closest to me, Revere, says, we found tracks, Your Highness, and movie thinks evidence of a fire was seen just west of the Blue River. We followed the tracks to an abandoned shelter. He puts his head down before adding, wasn't he there? My molars grind, reminding me to unlock my jaw before I ask, how many soldiers are still out there? 6, Your Highness. They wanted to continue searching the surrounding area, and I plan on taking another group out this evening to switch with them. Let me know when you go for rotations. Levi cuts in. I want to be in the next group. My eyes bore into the side of his head, but he does everything he can to keep his eyes away from mine. Revere looks between Levi and I, hesitating before he says, I'm sure that's not necessary, Lev. We have plenty of soldiers on this case more than willing to go hunting. Levi's eyes lock with mine as he says, wasn't he asking if it was necessary? Put me on the next rotation. Revere looks to me, awaiting permission, and I nod stiffly, my eyes still locked with Levi's. I'll see that it's done, Revere says with a nod. That is all the information I needed, I say, my jaw so tight it's bordering on painful. Thank you, Revere. You and your men may go. He nods before they all stand in unison, walking out of the room. May I suggest a meal before this conversation? You may leave too, Thomas, I grind out. He bows his head before muttering, yes, Your Highness. The door shuts with a soft click, and I imagine it's the tiny drop of water that falls on your nose right before a giant storm swoops in. What the hell are you thinking? I all but snarl, my hands gripping the oak under my fingers. He crosses his arms, undisturbed by my outrage. I'm thinking that I'm a way better tracker than all of them combined. I'm wondering why I haven't been put on this hunt sooner. Because you are my second in command, not a soldier. This expedition is incredibly dangerous. Do you know how hard it is to replace a second? To find someone you can trust to stand beside you? He scoffs. Don't pretend this is anything other than the fact that you don't want me that close to your personal life. You don't want me anywhere near that section of you, and if I go with them, I will undoubtedly find him. You are constantly in my personal life. You've stood by my side as I've made some of the hardest decisions of my life. His gaze searches mine, eyes heated but not angry. But your brother is different. You're scared of finding him, scared of finding and connecting with that part of your life again. I will not stand by as you torture yourself with constant disappointment. I'm going on the next hunt, and if you don't approve, then only my death will stop me. The door shuts with a slam behind him, and I throw my head in my hands, exhausted, because he's right. I'm scared of finding my brother, and I know that Levi will seek him out without a second glance. I am terrified. Inara. I cleaned his room. And it was not a quick, tidy a couple things, clean. It was an anxiety-induced rage clean. It wasn't necessarily dirty to begin with, but his room is big. Bigger than all the maids' rooms in the grand house combined, and I know from experience that rooms this big tend to collect a lot of dust. I got nervous, And when I get nervous, I panic. And when I panic, I clean. So I found a couple of cloths in the bathroom and washed his floor. Then I put the few scattered books back on the shelf. And then I found new sheets in one of the many closets in here and stripped his bed. I fluffed his pillows and brushed off his chairs, wiped down every surface in his bathroom, straightened the clothes in his closet while maybe sniffing each one. It was a lot, and now I'm contemplating putting it all back in disarray, but I don't think you can unwipe a counter. Maybe he liked the dust. Maybe squished pillows are how he likes them. Maybe he was reading those books and didn't he want them put away? Maybe I just need to sit down. This is new, and quite literally terrifying. I know one person in this giant, dark kingdom, and I really wish I knew how to please him. Kiana comes to my mind for the 100th time this hour, and a pinch clamps my heart. I left her in that awful place. Alone. She's alone there. We were never good at making friends, but once we met each other, that didn't matter, because Kiana was enough to fill the gaps of 1,000 friends. She was the person I went to for advice, and now more than ever I wish I could speak to her. She would tell me that I was being silly and that the signs were right in front of me. That I knew what the king wanted, I just had to look harder. But I have looked, and every time I think I've found something, he pulls it out of my hands. He's mad about last night. I know he is, because I woke up alone this morning. I hadn't fallen asleep until I heard the gentle pattern of his breathing, waiting an extra hour or two just to make sure he wasn't testing me, but he hadn't said anything. He fell asleep and that was that. Except when I woke up, he was gone, hence the nervous cleaning. I had failed yet another test, and now he was figuring out my punishment. I can't stand to think of the awful things they do here, and my skin crawls every time I start. My lip gives a sharp bolt of pain, and I pull it out of my teeth, not even realizing I had been biting it. My head is so stuffed with nerves that I'm not even thinking straight. I could be standing in a bucket of nails and I probably wouldn't. Why is your lip bleeding? I yelp, jumping backwards and tripping before falling flat my back. I rub the side of my head with a grimace as I slowly rise to a sitting position. The blond man from the carriage stands above me, his head tilted and features set in a curious expression. Are you always so jumpy? He asks in amusement. I did knock, but I suppose you didn't hear me? I swallow hard, shaking my head. Odd, he mutters. I'm bringing you down for lunch since His Highness has decided to forget about you. My heart drops. I knew it. I disobeyed one too many times, and he's already giving up. The blonde holds the black door open for me, clearly not possessing the ability of the king to throw them open with nothing but air. I walk behind him down the familiar halls, and once we're on the main floor again, the smell of a million different scents hit me, and my mouth waters from the delicious smell. I haven't eaten since breakfast yesterday, and my stomach isn't afraid to remind me. You are more animalistic than the wolves growling outside. A female voice yells from a wide grey arch on the left. This food will never last. It's not my fault you make such good food, Zed. It's natural for us to devour it, a deep voice rumbles back. There is nothing natural about the amount of food on your plate right now, movie. It's disgusting, the girl says. We walk through the arch, and are greeted by a giant table accompanied by at least 50 chairs. Windows framed by sparkling white curtains adorn the walls on each side, and a little door straight ahead is where all the talking must be coming from. It's truly beautiful here, I murmur in awe. I had thought the rumors would match the kingdom, but I suppose no one can know what they haven't seen. I hold my breath, afraid I've said too much, but the blonde just laughs. We are often talked of as vile and ugly, but this palace tends to alleviate all of those words. He turns to me before adding, I apologize. My manners always seem to come in too late. I'm Levi, the Moon King's second in command. I hesitantly slide my hand into his before saying, I'm Inara, the Moon King's mate. The words taste strange, and I instantly wish I hadn't said them. Levi smirks. Oh, I know who you are. Everyone in this kingdom does. It is not taken lightly when a king finds his match. The whole kingdom? I squeak. You pig-eating monster of a man. I swear my pancakes will never touch your tongue again. A bulky-looking man emerges from the door a second later, laughter still ringing from his mouth, but when he spots me a serious expression comes into view. My sincerest apologies, miss. I wasn't aware you were out here, he says, bowing his head. This is Movie. A hollow-stomached soldier who has probably more trouble than he's worth, Levi says with amusement, nudging the giant man's shoulder. Movie's wide eyes meet mine, and I almost shrink back at the fear I see in them. I don't mind. I amend quickly when I realize it's my wrath he fears. I'm often more trouble than I'm worth as well. Silence enters the room, and I shift uncomfortably under their stares before Levi bursts out laughing, quickly followed by Movie's quiet chuckling. Good to know, miss. I've always wanted a partner in crime, he says. I blink multiple times. Are they joking around with me? Anyway, I think Zara will beat me with that wooden spoon if she catches me out here, so I've got to run, a Movie says, moving past us before adding. Rotation is at 6, Lev, and I'm not waiting up for you. I'll be there. Levi calls after him. He then turns back to me before gesturing at the door Movie came out of. I want you to meet someone before we eat. My gut twirls and jumps, threatening me with nausea as anxiety fills me. I follow close behind him as he opens the door, and I don't know what I expected upon entering, but it definitely wasn't a girl my age. Her red hair is pulled up in a giant messy bun, displaying row upon row of freckles that dot her skin everywhere. Movie, I swear, if you brought yours back in here to my sweet moons. Her cheeks turn the darkest shade of red imaginable before she sweeps into a low curtsy. Excuse my rudeness, miss. I had assumed you were someone else. She says in a hurry. She reminds me of Kiana with her overexcited attitude, and I can't help but let my lips twitch slightly. I love your hair, I blurt, then realize that I don't even know this girl's name, but she doesn't seem to mind as her face splits into a massive grin. And I love yours. She gushes. I'm Zara, the head cook here. My eyes widen. The head cook? How old are you? She smiles bright and proud. 18. My mummer taught me how to cook before I was taught how to walk. I open my mouth, intending to tell her of my cooking habits, when a roar cuts through the air. Where is my mate? Aziel. It's strange, how a complete stranger can become your whole world within the span of 2 days. I hadn't known Inara existed a couple days ago, and now all I know is her. I feel stressed, tired, overwhelmed, and completely terrified of the prospect of my brother arriving here in a few days, and all I want to do is hold my mate. I want to wrap her in my arms and never let go. Stick my nose in her hair and inhale her scent over and over. Touch her and revel in the feel of her skin against mine. You sound worse than me, my wolf says, smug amusement in his voice. At least I don't think about it every second of every day, I retort. Absurd human, he mutters. Stubborn mutt, I mutter back. My door finally comes into focus, and the breath of relief I let go is like physical weight leaving my body. The door opens as I approach, and I immediately look to the bed, expecting to find her still asleep, but the mattress is meticulously covered in a clean set of sheets and smoothed-out comforter. Are my pillows fluffed? My gaze searches the space, finding cleanliness everywhere. Books neatly on the shelf here, blankets folded over the chair there, dustless shelves and spotless floors. I move into the bathroom to find it even more pristine than when my maid does it. Brianna is amazing at her job, but her efforts have never looked this good. This was the work of a girl who was riddled with anxiety and desperate to please the one person she knows can sort it out. Inara. My feet carry me out of my room so fast that the walls are a blur of black and grey. She must have been terrified when she woke up, thinking that I had left her because of something she did. I had left without waking her because she looked exhausted, and I would be loathed myself had I roused her out of the peaceful state of rest I know she desperately needed. I had hated leaving her, but I expected the meeting to be shorter than it was. I expected to be back sooner than I was. She's nowhere on the top floor, so I move the second, then the third, then fourth until finally I'm frantically searching the main floor. She couldn't have left. My guards would be alerted me. Was she hurt? A snarl rises and I quickly push it down. I will cut the throat out of anyone who even dared to look at her the wrong way. I swear if anybody put a single finger on her they will die in the thralls of torture. Distant chatter from the kitchen draws my attention, and I don't have time to stop my wolf before he snarls, "Where is my mate?" I enter the dining room and am contemplating ripping up everything inside, but then Levi and Zara step out of the kitchen door, followed closely by Inara. Unharmed. She's safe and unharmed. My wolf still doesn't let go, and I have to watch as Levi and Zara raise their hands and surrender while simultaneously baring their necks, showing me they're not a threat. Inara looks between the three of us, her eyes wide and body trembling in fear. She eyes Levi and Zara before mimicking their position, causing a chill-inducing growl to leave my mouth. My feet move, and before I know it I'm in front of Inara, helpless as she shakes in absolute terror. I fight desperately for control, but my wolf has an iron lock on his side. He grabs Inara's chin, and she whimpers. My heart shrivels. You're scaring her, I say, anger starting to show now. Her eyes are glistening as he tilts her head up, and my gut plummets to the floor. Let go. Now, I demand. The only time you will ever bare your neck to me will be when my mark is about to adorn it, and my wolf says softly, thumb stroking the soft skin of her cheek. She swallows hard, and I can see how much effort she puts into keeping her tears at bay. I do not mean to scare you, mate, but seeing you treat me as anything but your equal puts quite the damper on my mood. I'm sorry, as she stutters, her hands fidgeting rapidly in front of her as her breathing escalates. This is exactly what happened in the carriage, and if I ever have to repeat the feeling of helplessness as she stopped breathing right in front of my eyes, I might as well stop breathing too. She's on the verge of a panic attack, I say, pushing harder than ever on his walls. You are making her scared of you. Just let go. My wolf sighs, and I feel his despair as his walls finally crumble beneath my fingers. I push through, and then both my hands are cupping Inara's cheeks, my eyes searching within hers. You're okay, I reassure in a gentle tone. I promise you're safe. Her head falls forward onto my chest, and I immediately wrap my arms around her as sobs shake through her. She has never been the first to touch me, but I don't let my surprise show as I hold her tight. I look up, noticing that Levi and Zara left, obeying silent orders on very loud cues. They know exactly when they are needed, and now is not one of those times. I'm so sorry, Inara, I mutter into her hair, breathing in her scent repeatedly, loving the feeling of it washing out my panic. She's here, in my arms. She might be upset, but at least she's safe. Sorry? She hiccups. Why? I pull back so I can look into her eyes as I say, because my wolf scared you. I promise you he meant no harm. He very protective of you, and when we couldn't find you he panicked. Her eyes flutter as confusion settles on her beautiful face. So, wasn't he mad? I'm not in trouble. My brows crinkle, and I know my expression matches hers as I ask, why would you be in trouble? Because I left without asking. But I thought it was okay because Levi came and got me, so I figured you had told him to come get me because you were angry about last night and... Love, I interrupt, my hands moving up to hold the sides of her neck as I say, you are not a prisoner here. You can go wherever you want whenever you want. You are not in trouble, and I am definitely not mad about last night. I only left because I had an early meeting, otherwise I would have stayed in that bed with you all day. She ducks her head as pink tinges her cheeks, and I smile to myself. You are safe here, Inara. I promise you. Her gaze rises, striking blue, catching my attention and holding it. Her long blonde waves brush my hands as I slowly slide them up to cup her cheeks, and her breath halts as I lean forward slightly. She inches closer as well, desire trampling fear as she gets closer. Her breath teases my lips, and I've never wanted anything more in my entire life than to touch our lips together. I lean forward an inch more, finally closing the gap that... Levi's going? A male voice sounds from the arch, and I close my eyes with a sigh. Man, whatever's out there must be really oh shit. Henry halts in his tracks, making the guy behind him nearly trip. I think we've interrupted an almost kiss, Henry says apologetically. But really, why are you trying to make out in the dining room of all places? It's lunchtime, okay? People are hungry. I swear I'd kill him if he didn't have the work ethic of 100 people. Although I would love to kiss Inara right now, I'm kind of glad for the interruption. We have a lot to sort through, and putting intimacy on the top is not a good idea. For you, my wolf grumbles. You're still in the doghouse, buddy. Inara has gone rigid again beside me, so, sparing Henry a death glare that promises verbal abuse later, I leave the dining room. Inara. Aziel had her lunch delivered to his room, explaining that the dining room gets quite full and overwhelming at meal times, and that it would be too much if we stayed down there to eat. He took my feelings into consideration without my needing to say anything at all. I can't figure out whether or not it's a trick, a game, or a facade to gain my trust. It doesn't feel fake, and when I saw him after his wolf came out I almost jumped into his arms. I was terrified, and in that moment it felt like he was the only thing that could bring me comfort. I also almost kissed him. I've never felt for anyone what I feel for the Moon King, and it's nerve-wracking to have feelings that I don't know what to do with. He looked like maybe he was about to kiss me too, but I know that was just my mind playing tricks on me. I probably looked so desperate, and embarrassment threatens to color my neck at the thought. I'm so sorry, Inara. I should have gotten you something to eat last night. It completely slipped my mind, the Moon King says apologetically as he watches me inhale the sandwich I was given. I set my sandwich down, cheeks turning pink as I make myself chew slower. I probably look like an animal. That's okay, Your Highness. I really wasn't that hungry last night anyway. Lie. But the last thing I want here is for him to be worrying about me. I can't become a burden, not when I've made it this far. He smiles slightly. Sure you weren't. But then his expression turns serious. Inara, I can't believe I haven't thought of this before now, but is there any family you want moved here? It would take them some time to adjust, but I'm sure they miss you. I'm not sure it's possible for them to miss me more than I miss them. Kiana comes to my mind, but I know the Moon King would never let her in here. No, I start, my eyes dropping down as I pick my food back up. That's okay. There's silence for a beat, and then, do you mind me asking the reason why? I can't tell him. He'll start feeling sorry for me, and then he will get annoyed, and then next thing I know I'm back in the post while he finally doles out my punishment. I just wasn't that close with them, I mutter, working to keep my voice from shaking. A quiet, disappointed sigh ensues my words, and panic clenches my muscles. Does he know I'm lying? I know shifters have heightened senses, but I didn't think they were that heightened. Maybe his kingdom houses anomalies as well, except instead of colourful features, they can read minds. I'm about to spill my guts, telling him everything about my family, but he starts talking before I even open my mouth. I would like the kingdom medic to look over you. I don't know what treacherous things they sported in that pack, but I do know that Bexley can probably erase it. Physically, at least. Panic flooded my body the minute he said the word medic, and I barely hear the rest of words, fear radiating in my bones. So he does know I'm lying. This is why you don't skirt around kings. Clever lies are still lies. I didn't mean it. I blurt. I'm sorry. Please don't send me there. My hands slap over my mouth, as going wide as I realize my mistake. I asked for a way out, assuming there was one. My instincts have dulled slightly since coming here, and now I'm messing up left and right. Inara, you aren't in trouble, the king starts softly. I just want to make sure you aren't in any pain. My brain can't wrap itself around the words, instead choosing to continue dwelling on his earlier ones. Please don't send me there, I whimper, not even caring that I'm asking for an out. The post would be preferred over what I endured in those examination rooms, the terror they inflicted every time one of us would step out of line just slightly. Whoa, 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 he says, voice calm and steady as he comes to crouch in front of my chair. I'm not sending you anywhere, love. We'll go together, and I will be there the whole time. He wants to watch. I hold back the shudder that tries to crawl through me, instead nodding my head with way too much force. Okay, Your Majesty. His fingers gently grasp my chin, and I hadn't noticed my face had drawn down until he tilts it back up. Aziel, he starts, his gaze locking mine in a chokehold. I want you to call me Aziel. I swallow, the sound seeming to echo off the walls before I whisper, okay, Aziel. I see the shiver that rolls across his shoulders before he closes his eyes and murmurs, I love my name on your lips. My title was not made for you to utter. My name, however, that was made entirely for you. His eyes open once more, amber trapping me in a whirlwind of feelings. They swirl continuously, spinning in a never-ending loop of emotions. It's mesmerizing, and I'm completely lost in the trance. They drop down, down, staring at my lips before jumping back up and crinkling with something like pain. I truly wish I could kiss you right now, but I need you to understand that I will never take advantage of you, Inara. Ever. The first time I kiss you will because you want it, not because of my selfishness. And then he stands before adding, I need to shower, and then we'll go to the medic. Feel free to do anything but clean. I gasp, and his smirk is the last thing I see before the bathroom door shuts. The king has an odd taste in books. Every one I pick up has a description of true love and tales of knights in shining armor saving poor damsels. He's a hopeless romantic, I realize. It's strange to think that the most feared king uses his free time to read about silly little love affairs. It's also incredibly endearing. I do hope you won't mock me too much, though I understand if you want to. I jump so high that I'm surprised my feet don't come right under me. I mean, Aziel. I thought that maybe I was allowed to look at your books. I'm sorry if I caused you any discomfort or intruded on your privacy. The Moon King laughs, his damp hair dropping little rivulets of water down his neck at the movement. Everything in this room is just as much yours as it is mine, and I would love it if you explored its contents, he smirks as he gestures to the giant bookshelf. This was an excellent place to start. I search his face for a second longer than comfortable before deciding that this statement is safe. He is not testing me right now. At least I hope he is not. You like romance, I murmur, brushing my fingers over the book in my lap. The king comes to sit on the floor beside me, and I almost gasp in alarm, but then I remember that he was more than willing to sleep on the floor last night if I was going to. My interests are probably less kingly than expected, but yes, I love romance. The king starts, smiling at the hundreds of books surrounding us. 8,000 different people falling in love 1,000 different ways. It's beautiful to read, don't you think? I blink a couple times before replying. I've never really read a romance book before. Well, not any type of book, really. I didn't really have time to read in the Sun Kingdom. He looks at me in astonishment. No time to read? Well, we will definitely be fixing that. He stands before adding, pick any book off the shelf and we'll start reading as soon as we're back from seeing the medic. My stomach drops, nerves dancing in my chest like live wires, but I swallow and look at his enormous selection. I don't really know what I'm looking for, so I pick the one with the prettiest spine. Pride and Prejudice, it reads, and I hold it up for inspection by the king. He smiles softly. That's one of my favorites. I nod before setting it gently on his bed, turning back to him with a gut full of anxiety and hands that can't stay still. He sighs, his hand lightly leading me to the door as he says, "It will be over before you know it." I promise. You have nothing to be afraid of. If only he knew that medics are everything you should be afraid of. Aziel. It's like I can physically feel the nerves radiating off of Anara. I don't know why she would be afraid of a doctor. I don't know a lot of things about her, but I intend to find out at least some today. We turn left on the second floor, and white walls greet us. The brightest place in the entire kingdom. The bold black letters that say Medic's Wing stand out against everything, and I feel my mate shudder beside me. What do you think is in there? I ask, and she jumps, clearly not expecting me to speak. Her eyes slip to the closed double doors and then back to me, searching, observing, and always looking for the next trick. It makes me feel twisted up inside to even think about what kind of events made her mind to program itself that way. A doctor, as she murmurs, I staring at the doors now. I crouch down, putting myself at her level as I ask, Erin, what is so bad about doctors? Her eyelashes flutter, teeth sliding out to gnaw on her bottom lip. I have a very sudden urge to pull it out with my own teeth, and I dismiss the thought immediately. Stop drooling, I scold my wolf. Your insensible thoughts are leaking into my conscious. I'm not apologizing for being incredibly attracted to my mate. He snips, voice bored. Inara's arms move to wrap around her middle, fingers twisting in the fabric of her shirt. You can trust me, I whisper, my eyes catching hers and holding, begging her to believe my words. I am not the same king, nor is this the same kingdom. Things are drastically different here. Her throat rolls with an audible swallow, and her eyes start to glisten. She blinks rapidly, but it only makes them fall to the ground in little drops of sadness. Hey, I start softly. I hate it when you cry. Love. What did I say? How can I make it better? She sniffs, wiping at her eyes angrily. but more tears replace them, falling over her fingers in endless succession. I grab her shoulders gently, waiting for resistance, and upon finding none, I pull her into my arms. She doesn't hesitate at all, and I almost gasp in surprise as her arms wrap around my neck. Maybe I am doing something right if she feels safe enough to cry in my arms. Please, as she whispers shakily. My heart cracks, the reverberations echoing around my chest like lightning, quick and sharp. Please what, love? She digs her face deeper into my neck, seeking comfort, and I all but melt in response. Don't send me in there, she says, her words muffled by my neck. I promise I'll be better. My wolf snarls, and I shove him back, fortifying my mental walls. I told you this isn't a punishment, Inara, I murmur, hoping my voice is calmer than the raging flames burning hot in my chest. I only want to make sure you're not hurting anywhere. I know she wouldn't tell me if she was, and the thought of her in pain is all I can think about now. I need to know there's no injuries and no former scars that are causing her any discomfort. Penny is one of nicest people you will ever meet, I start. And I swear she wouldn't lay a finger anywhere you don't want her to. She is very gentle, and if you aren't comfortable with something, all you have to do is say the word and she'll stop. I promise you, she will not intentionally harm you. Her tears dissolve into tiny hiccups, but when I try to pull her back to look in her eyes, she practically latches onto me. Does she have sunshade? The words are barely a breath, but I hear them, and I'm almost afraid to ask what this mysterious sunshade is. What is that? She grips me tighter, like the thought of it makes her frightened. It's a poison that the sun medic would use whenever one of the maids got restless. It's supposed to be a calming solution, but they mixed something in it that made it burn. She shudders. It would calm you so much that all you could do was lay there as it trailed fire through every organ and nerve. Goosebumps dot the surface of her skin as she adds, it was horrible. I can barely contain my wolf when she has finished, and I almost don't want to. I want to set him free and let his teeth rip into the throats of whoever dared to do this. Let his claws scrape out the insides of this so-called medic. I have never heard of such a thing, I say, desperately trying to keep the rage out of my voice. Penny would never even think about something like that. I promise you there is no poisons in that room. She finally pulls back, her eyes still glistening and cheeks still wet. She searches my eyes, looking, hunting for the lie, the trick that she won't find. Seemingly satisfied with the truth in my gaze, she reluctantly nods. I touch my forehead to hers. Thank you for trusting me. I slowly stand, holding out my hand for her to grab before pushing open the double white doors. The scent of alcohol wipes and cleanliness coats the air, and I scrunch my nose as I walk down the long hallway of doors. Babies' cries are heard through some, others hold whispering or excited chatter. A pained cry leaves the door on our right, and Inara jumps, trembling with fear. I wrap my arm around her, muttering, "Hey, it's okay." Penny approaches from a branching hall on the left, waving with a smile when she spots us. "Good evening, Your Majesty," as she greets, then, turning to Inara, asks, "And who might this be?" Inara shrinks in, and I tuck her tighter into my side as I say, "This is Inara, my mate." Penny's eyes widen, excitement filling her features as she looks at Inara and says, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Your Highness." I gesture at an empty room, and Penny opens the door wider, ushering us in. "Of course. I'm so sorry. Come on in." I wait until the door clicks shut before starting. Inara came from not great circumstances. I just want to make sure all her injuries are healed. That nothing is causing her pain. Penny nods, pity flooding her eyes as she looks at my mate. Absolutely, Ishi says. Is there anything in particular I'm looking for? I have no idea what to say, but it appears that I don't have to. I think some of my ribs might be bruised, Ionara mutters, surprising both of us. And some of the lashings on my back don't feel right. Penny's eyes hold horror, and I'm sure the same emotion is reflected in mine. I let her walk around everywhere with bruised ribs. She's been in pain this whole time and hasn't he said anything? And what does a sum of her lashings mean? How many does she have? Penny clears her throat, readjusting some papers on the table beside her before standing. Are we doing this examination with you in the room? I don't want to invade Inara's privacy, and she seems a lot more comfortable now than when we stepped in here. Penny just has that effect on people. I lean in to Inara before whispering, I'm going to step outside, but if you feel like you need me at any point, all you have to do is call me, okay? She swallows, some of her fear coming back, but she nods nonetheless. I lay a light kiss on her forehead before nodding at Penny and stepping outside the door. I have definitely pasted a permanent mark into the white marble flooring, and I think everyone that walks past must think the king is going crazy. They probably aren't wrong. Standing out here waiting to hear whatever horror Inara was out through is suffocating, like my heart can't beat properly if I don't know she is okay. I knew about the lashings because of the ones I was supposedly going to take pleasure in, or so that orange fireball girl said. But the bruised ribs? And I can bet that's not all. She's been in pain this whole time, all while keeping quiet, not saying a single thing about it. The door clicks, and I whip my head around to see Penny step out. She's just getting dressed, as she explains when I glance behind her. I don't even know what to say. I fall back on the wall, my head connecting with the hard surface. How bad? I grit out. She sighs. She has several infections on her back. 4 of her ribs are severely bruised. And there are scars almost everywhere, Your Majesty. And bruises too, although they're all fading now. She pauses before saying, I always thought the Sun Kingdom was full of life and wonder. I had dreams of visiting and bathing in the sunlight, smiling as laughter rang out around me. Disgust threads her tone as she adds, that poor girl is proof that something isn't right in that place. There's things going on in there that aren't good. I can just feel it. I open my mouth, but the door clicks again, this time revealing a timid beauty, as cast down as she shuts the door behind her. I was just telling His Majesty about our next appointment, Penny says with forced enthusiasm. She turns to me again before saying, I put dressings on her back and wrapped her ribs, but they need to be changed in a couple days. I nod. We'll be back. Penny smiles. I'll see you guys then. Her steps fade down the hall, and I turn back to Inara. You ready to go? If I remember correctly, a very special book is waiting for us. She looks up, her gaze curious as always, searching my eyes before nodding. I wrap my arm her again, trying to make her weight fall on mine so her bruised ribs aren't bothered. She leans into me, finally giving in to the pain, and I rub my thumb lightly on her skin as we walk, thinking that maybe we'll be okay. She's not in the Sun Kingdom anymore. She's safe. She's home. Inara. My shoes hit the pavement with a crunch of gravel and dirt. The night bathes the sky in a blackness so deep it could be nothing at all. Dots of stars color the world in an array of bright fragments, leaving no corners untouched. It was terrifying at first, but now, after being here for a couple of days, it looks almost magical. I see the pain meds have kicked in, Aziel says, chuckling lightly. I like it. A lot. It's strange how someone's life can trigger feelings you didn't even know existed. I feel much better, I say, tensing as I wait for his reply. I've gotten a lot less cautious and a lot more trusting. He says he's safe, and something inside of me begs me to believe him. I want you to tell me whenever you're in pain, okay? I can't stand the thought of you suffering. My brows furrow. Why? The word slips out, so unfiltered and completely unwanted that I almost gasp out loud. Aziel stops walking, halting my steps as he kneels down in front of me, putting us at eye level. It's astonishing how tall he is. My height is only half of his. Is it so hard to believe that I care for you? You are my mate, and I don't want anything more than for you to rule by my side. My eyes widen. Do you really mean that? He laughs lightly, the sound barely a breeze, and my lips twitch, but I quickly mask it. Yes, I often mean what I say, love. I look down, fidgeting. I can't be your queen. I'm not anything special. I'm not even an anomaly. He rests his hands on my cheeks, and I notice that I don't flinch. His touch feels safe, and my body knows it. I would put you over some orange-haired firecracker any day. He shudders. That lady was terrifying. A smile slips out, shining in the darkness before I'm able to snuff it away. The king's expression sobers, his features turning to one of amazement as he whispers, "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever encountered. Your smile is amazing. Will you show it more often?" I search his eyes, habit making me look for the trick, but as always with him, there isn't one. I think your laugh is the most wonderful sound in the world, I blurt, then immediately cover my mouth, eyes widening as my entire body flushes with embarrassment. He laughs, and I have a suspicion that it's because of my words. I'm glad you think so. I smile again. Here, in this moment, I feel safe, alive, protected, and free. It's so easy to let pretenses and precautions fall down around him, like my walls know they don't need to be up whenever he's near. It's exhilarating. The king clears his throat, the silence apparently stretched too far. He stands, offering his hand as we once again start walking. Now that you've gotten some fresh air, I believe a book is waiting for us, no? Consciousness slips, falling, fall. I jerk myself awake, forcing myself to listen to the Aziel's words. They were so soft, so lulling and gentle. His voice was a sleepy drug, pulling me under its spell with every letter and syllable. Their brother, indeed, was the only one of the party whom she could regard with any complacency. His anxiety for Jane was evident, and his attentions to herself most pleasing. The words blurred yet again, my brain floating in a river of clouds, stuffed with warm marshmallows that just felt so comfortable and... I jerked again, but this time the king noticed. "You can sleep, love," he murmured. "I don't mind in the slightest. We can finish this chapter tomorrow." I rubbed my eyes, desperately trying to keep them from dipping. "Are you sure?" His hands were suddenly on the blankets, tucking them around me as he adjusted my pillow. "Quite sure." Unconsciousness finally pulled me under, and I felt the press of lips on my forehead right before the world disappeared. The rough metal of the chains dug into my palms. Everything ached, and the world swayed for a moment before painfully refocusing. The dirt crunched, gravel shifting as someone's boots disturbed it. I didn't even have the courage to look up, didn't want to find the courage either. I knew whose face I would see. I barely kept back from letting out a whimper as the toes of her shoes touched my knees. Cold fingers grasped my chin, clutching it in a bruising grip. Hatred burns in her eyes, anger swirling underneath. You destructive little girl, a Ms. Granell spits. Everything you touch shatters into pieces. I will not have such a clumsy child prance around in my presence. You will learn from your mistakes. I was only trying. She shoves my face away, effectively cutting off my words. I didn't ask for your excuses. 5 lashes and 7 hours out here shall serve you well. I shudder, a rogue tear escaping my eye. She fists the long leather belt that hangs from its hook, and I shrink into myself, trying to believe that eventually I will disappear into nothing. It doesn't work, and I barely have time to prepare before the first lash rips across my back, tearing my dress and my skin. A cry slips out, and I bite my lip to keep from sobbing. Searing, throbbing pain accompanies the moments after, but the second lash comes before I can dwell on it. I scream as the torn flesh rips more, hitting on fresh wounds. Inara. My name usually sounds like a reprimand on her lips, but I think I detect concern this time. I just cry harder, waiting for the third lash. My love, please wake up. I don't feel pain anymore. I feel warm arms surrounding my body in a cocoon of safety. Come on, Inara. Come back to me. My consciousness comes back in a sharp rush. I feel myself trembling, and I'm panting like I just ran a marathon, my breath coming in quick bursts of air. I wrap my arms around Aziel's neck, pulling myself impossibly closer. I don't know what compels me to do it. All I know is that I'm scared, and somehow he makes that all better. He banishes my fears with no effort at all. It's like magic, the way they simply disappear as soon as he's close. Hey, Aziel murmurs into my hair. It's okay. I'm right here. You're safe. He shifts, and panic rises inside me, but not because I'm scared he'll hurt me. I'm scared he'll leave, that I'll be left alone to think over the horrors I just relived. I latch myself onto him, not even caring that I could be overstepping. I'm so terrified right now that punishment sounds better than him letting go. He laughs softly, quietly. I'm not going anywhere, just getting more comfortable is all. I won't leave you until you want me to. My heart calms at his words, my breathing slowly returning to its normal rhythm as my shaking body settles. He knew exactly what to say, knew exactly what I needed to hear. You aren't as horrible as you let the world believe, I murmur, yawning. He sighs quietly. If only that were true. I'm afraid you haven't seen what I become when faced with enemies. My brows furrow. Yes, I did. When you and the Sun King were fighting, you made him stop. You didn't truly want to hurt him. He's quiet for so long that I begin to think I overstepped, that I said too much, but then he rubs my back gently, easing the anxiety away. That was for your benefit, love, he murmurs. My thoughts definitely were not of peace. I think I become quite the monster when it comes to protecting those I care about. I almost gasp, surprised that he feels comfortable enough to be vulnerable like this. That he feels like he can confide in me without verbal backlash. Is that truly what you believe about yourself? That you're a monster? I ask softly. It is not my own belief, but that of those around me. I push up so I can look in his eyes when I ask, Ian, whoever said you had to conform with the voices around you? It's a bold question considering I've been doing the same thing almost my whole life. Adjusting and rearranging just so the people around don't react. Becoming the expectation so that nothing else is expected. I suppose it is easier to conform than it is to confront. Aziel mutters. I don't think you're a monster, Aziel, I whisper. In fact, I think you're more of a hero. He smiles. Am I to be your knight in shining armor? Who else will chase away my nightmares? His lips ghost across my forehead. Always, Inara. I will always chase away your nightmares. It feels right, here in his arms, like nothing can touch us as long as we're together. I don't feel scared around him, I feel safe. He makes me feel safe, and that is all I've ever dreamed of. A memory flashes, one of two little girls, scared and alone, promising each other that one day we would both be safe, that one day nobody would be able to hurt or use us ever again. I gather every ounce of courage I have to say, I have a favor to ask. Aziel. I was staring at the sun. Not the real sun, of course, but a configuration of it. Carved into the concrete stairs leading up to my palace, my home, was a sun, its edges imitating radiant rays of brightness. When did this happen? I all but growl at Thomas. He audibly gulps, taking a subtle step back, trying to hide his fear, and I'm reminded of Inara's words last night. You aren't as horrible as you let the world believe. I don't think you're a monster, Aziel. I shut the words out. One of the guards found it this morning, Your Highness, Thomas says, his voice shaking slightly. My jaw works, fury bubbling beneath my skin. I want every guard that was on rotation last night to be in my office in 5 minutes, I say coolly, turning to walk back inside. And get someone to cover up that abomination. I can't believe we were pulled away from breakfast because of some stupid drawing, my wolf grumbles, yawning loudly. I internally roll my eyes. That stupid drawing could be a declaration of war. He chuckles. With those drawing skills? I think someone is just trying to tell you that your palace needs more bling. I twist my lips to keep from smiling. Most people know I'm a shifter, but I still don't want to risk looking like a sociopath, smiling like an idiot to nothing but thin air. Inara is right where I left her when I walked back into the dining room. I made sure to pick a time for her to come here when nobody would be in here eating, but that window is almost closed. I lean down when I reach her, kissing her neck before whispering, You are a dream, I swear. Her back jerks up, but I notice it's not as rigid as when she first arrived here. Maybe this stiffness is from something other than fear. I've made progress, I know. Her walls are crumbling as I show her that I have cracks too, that I wouldn't dare try to knock her down when I know firsthand how hard it is to get back up. I crouch down in front of her, holding my favorite pair of blue eyes as I say, I have a meeting that just came up. I'm so sorry, but I need to attend this one. You are absolutely welcome to accompany me, but I have a feeling you'd rather not listen to old men argue for an hour. Her eyes dawn panic before she quickly blinks it away and nods. I'm okay on my own. You don't have to worry about me. There it is. Her worry. You are not a burden, I murmur, my gaze holding the sincerity I so deeply want her to believe. Not in the slightest. I would love your company, but if you would like to stay down here, then that's fine too. Her gaze does the search that it always does, eyes flicking wildly between mine before she says, I'll stay down here? I smile. That's right, love. You make the decisions here, not me. I kiss her forehead as I stand. I will rush the meeting, but unfortunately these things tend to take longer than I ever anticipate. Stay with Zara, and if you need me she can tell you which room I'm in. I'll see you later, okay? She nods hesitantly, and I briefly consider dropping my title just so I can spend every second by her side. I'm not opposed to that option, my wolf says, voice hopeful. It's not an option. Nice try though. I can't believe he actually entrusted me to stay with you, Azara says as I walk out. I have essentially become one of his elite. She definitely doesn't know I can still hear her, and the thought almost makes me smile. Shifting isn't widely known in my kingdom. Having only been passed around the royalty table, not any of my subjects have similar abilities. I don't know what separated the lines back then, but I do know that my brother and I are the only two left in my family that have wolf blood in our veins. My mother, having been human when she married my father, doesn't share our attributes. If only I knew where my brother was. I know that Levi will come back with more results than I've ever had, but waiting here when I know my brother is almost inches away, it's agonizing. The door to my office appears like a chopping block, waiting for the next piece of my sanity to slice into shards. I breathe deeply before opening the door. My office is full of burly-bodied men standing ramrod straight and looking more scared than when enemies try to tear down our gates. They think their lives are ending in this room, so it's kind of warranted, my wolf points out. I suppose that's true. Which one of you was the first to see the sun symbol? I ask, looking each of them in the eyes one by one. There's a total of 8 soldiers in this room, and one in the middle steps forward, hands clasped behind his back and head bent low. It was me, Your Highness. I would like to know exactly what you saw and whoever was near the palace when you saw it, I demand. As it turns out, the only information we have is exactly what I caught myself outside. There's a random sun symbol carved into the stairs of my palace, and nobody knows who put it there. Unless I have the energy and time to interrogate every one of my subjects, I'm left with nothing. It's a clear act of either defiance or war, and the only enemy I have on the other side is the Sun King, because apparently having one less maid made an impeccable difference. Unless she was more than just a maid to him, my wolf snarls, his fangs flashing in my head. Fury grips my mind in a hold so tight I think my skull might shatter, and I have to make a serious effort to tamp it down. I swear I would blow that kingdom to bits if it meant the consequences wouldn't outweigh the reward. I was probably gone for a little over 2 hours, and when I go back to the kitchen I find it empty and silent. The girls have left, as I knew they would, but something about it feels off. I would expect Zara to leave a note or something telling me where they went, but there's nothing. A scream cuts through the air just then, and I start running before my thoughts even start to process the action. The chill air bites at my skin, but I don't pay any attention to it as my eyes latch onto the scene in front of me. A man with what looks like a black potato sack over his head is tugging on Zara's arm. He's trying to pull her into the alley, out of sight, but I'm beside him before he can take another step. I grab the scruff of his neck, yanking him away from Zara and tossing him to the floor. Who are you? I demand, ripping the sack off his head. His wide hazel eyes stare back at me, but I notice that it's not fear in his gaze, just surprise. His hair is the color of black granite, and his build is all twigs and no muscle. I've never seen this man in my life. A gun is cocked from behind me, and I know without looking that my guards have arrived. Too late. The man stays silent, so I grip his arm to pull him up and hand him to the closest guard. Put him in an interrogation cell, I command. Stick Henry on him and try to get as much information as you can. They nod, turning to cart him off, and I whip around to Zara. Where is she? I all but growl. Her frame shakes, arms coming around to hold her middle as she squeezes her eyes shut. I'm so sorry, she whispers. I try to fight them off, but they were too strong. Who? I ask, voice raised as I take a step toward her. She flinches, letting out a small sob. I don't know, as she whimpers, shaking her head. They all had masks on. I gentle my voice slightly, reminding myself that she was a victim, not a participant. I need to know where they took her. Just tell me which way. She wipes her tears, raising a shaking hand to point down the alley that splits the castle from the start of the village beyond. I take off, my feet carrying me inside the dark alley, down a twisting turn until I spot a darkened shape against the wall. Inara. I don't even remember taking the last steps, but suddenly I'm kneeling beside her, my hands roaming everywhere, searching for injuries. Her eyes are closed, body propped lazily against the wall like whoever put her here didn't care if she was comfortable. I tap her face gently. Inara, wake up. Not even a stir, and worry pinches my gut. Come on, love. It's time to wake up. Nothing. I stroke her cheeks with my thumbs. Open those beautiful eyes for me, Inara. A quiet groan leaves her lips, and I sigh in relief. The world is spinning, as she whimpers, cracking her eyes open, but then her head tilts, eyes locking with mine as she smiles. I love your eyes. Her words are slurred, and I know immediately that something is wrong. Inara, I start slowly. Can you tell me what happened to you? Her head flops to the other side, eyes blinking slowly as she stares at me. Silent. The slow blinks continue until her eyes don't open again, and I gently rub her arm. No, no, no. Keep your eyes open for me, love. Her brows dip. Something doesn't feel right. I rip my suit coat off, wrapping it around her shoulders before swooping her into my arms. I know, baby, I murmur. It LL parse. I just need you to keep your eyes open, okay? She nods sleepily. She was drugged, that much is certain, and I intend to rip the throat out of whoever dared put their hands on her. Inara. I think the room may be floating, although I can't be sure. There's a slight blur to the coloring as well, as if the air can't decide where to settle. It's dizzying, and not in a good way. There's something wrong with me. I think maybe not. I actually can't remember, but I think maybe I can taste the colors in this room. Is that normal? My mate's well-being was the consequence of this so-called mishap. Aziel growls from somewhere, and a slight tingle erupts in my veins from his voice. Find out how to fix the problem, or I will find someone who can. A door opens and slams shut after those words, and then suddenly Aziel is in front of me. There's a scowl on his face, but he quickly erases it, replacing it with concern in a second. Hey, he says softly. The doctor said the drugs should wear off on their own, so we just gotta wait this out. How are you feeling? His words don't immediately register, because I think this is the first time I've looked at him. Well, really looked at him. I had never noticed the gold rim in his amber eyes, but looking at it now, I don't know how I could ever not notice it. His black cropped hair flops in a way that says I don't care, and I think I maybe kinda love it. I love your hair. Oh no. Did I actually just say that? His lips curl, plain amusement plastered to his face. Is that so? What about it is so enticing? The way it flops, I murmur. And the color. I love the color. Like melted onyx. I don't think my mouth has an off switch right now. It's just spouting out the first things that come to mind. His smile turns soft. I've often thought that it looks more like floating shadows. I like melted onyx better. I smile triumphantly, because apparently I have no control over my face either. Good. My metaphors will be a good image change. He frowns. What is wrong with my image? Not your outward appearance, I amend. But the image you keep in your head. The image of the heartless king who rules with an iron fist and a flaming tongue. I'm surprised by how much I mean the words. I haven't been here long, but I've seen enough to know that the cruel Moon King I was told about is nothing like the man before me. I was told horror stories of a shadowed monster. A king who ruled with his black heart and even blacker soul. I heard all about the unending screams and terror-induced commands, harsh punishments, and unspeakable deaths. What I wasn't told about, however, was the kind heart that didn't lose interest when at first I didn't show any. The king who tried to understand my fears instead of bending and abusing them. The king who slept on the floor just so I wouldn't The king who made sure I wasn't suffering instead of making sure I did. The king who called me his mate even when everything was ruling against it. The king who wants me by his side, even though I have nothing to give him. I hadn't even noticed I was crying until a calloused thumb brushes underneath my eye. What is it? Aziel asks, his face almost panicked. Are you hurting somewhere? I shake my head gently, staring into his eyes. Goodness, those eyes. I want to dive into them and never come up for air. A surprised laugh leaves his lips, and my eyes are drawn to them, noticing the way they move as he says, "Are my eyes that inviting? Or are they the reason you're crying?" Wait, what? Oh, I said that last statement out loud. That's not good. Now I'm losing my ability to differentiate between thinking and speaking. I think I may be kind of loopy, I mumble, my words slurring on the edges. He brushes a stray hair from forehead, and the contact makes me shiver. It's just the effects of the drug, he explains. I promise nothing you say right now will be held against you tomorrow. His lips twitch, and I eye him skeptically. Did you just make a joke? He nods proudly. Why, yes, I did. It felt quite good, actually. I smile, but then a soft gasp leaves my mouth as he traces my lips. Since you professed your love of my hair and eyes, I think it's only fair that I tell you I might be obsessed with your smile. You should really make it less intoxicating. You'll drive a man crazy. I hold his eyes, a light grin still on my lips as I whisper, just one man. My limbs tense at the boldness, eyes turning down so I don't witness the anger in his gaze. But then I make myself relax, reminding my brain that he won't hurt us. Aziel's finger drifts down until he has a gentle grasp on my chin, tilting it so our eyes connect. Do you enjoy driving me mad? Does the sight of me in shambles allure you? His voice is gruff and grating, and goodness if it doesn't he make me wanna jump him right here. Excuse me, where did that thought come from? I swallow as I hold his eyes. The intensity in them is almost too much but also not enough. I want more. I want all of him. I grip the hand that's holding my chin and tug. His gaze turns surprised, but he quickly complies, climbing into his bed beside me. I don't know where this boldness is coming from, but I don't think it will stay, so I'm definitely abusing it. I hook my knee on his hip before swinging myself to a straddling position. I have absolutely no idea what is going on, but I do know that I want to be close to him. His hands come to rest on my thighs as a look of regret washes through his eyes. Love, as tempting as this position is, you aren't sober, and I will not take advantage of you just because you aren't aware of what is happening. Panic clogs my throat. I am aware, I promise. Very aware. He smiles softly. No, you are not. I don't know what you're hyped up on, but I do know that you aren't yourself. We aren't doing anything right now. I go to protest, but all of a sudden I can't talk. I don't think it was panic clogging my throat. I barely have time to scramble off Aziel and rush into the bathroom before my stomach hurls itself into the toilet. My head pounds with the force of which everything inside my body comes rushing up my throat. Gentle hands are suddenly brushing the hair back from my face, holding it in a fist as I heave and cough into the toilet. "That it," Aziel murmurs as he rubs my back with the hand not holding my hair. "Just get it all out." I'm suddenly crystal clearly aware of everything I just did under the influence of whatever was coursing through my veins. It made me bold in a way I never want to be again. I was practically forcing myself on him. Goodness, I can't even imagine how upset he is. I gag for an entirely different reason, trying and failing to bring more fluid up. I have nothing left. Even my pride lays in a mangled heap on the floor. I wish I could join it. We would sink into the black marble tiles and be forgotten together. It doesn't happen, and instead of chastising me as I expect, Aziel scoops me into his arms and walks back to the bed. My head gives a sharp protest at the movement, but I don't make a single sound as he lightly places me back on the pillows. He disappears back in the bathroom for a moment, before coming back with a white little pill and a glass of water. "Here," he says, handing them to me. "I know you won't admit it, but I bet you have a raging headache. This is pain medication. It should help you within a couple minutes." I place the pill on my tongue and gulp down the entire glass of water, grateful when the foul taste of vomit leaves my mouth. I set the glass on the nightstand before my hands start to wring themselves inside and out. "I'm really sorry," I whisper. "That was incredibly inappropriate, and I know I deserve a punishment." He interrupts with a serious look. I gulp, nodding my head gravely. He looks to be contemplating something before he asks, "Ian, what kind of punishment should it be?" My brows dip. What? He raises his eyebrows. "What kind of punishment should I inflict?" My mouth opens and closes several times, trying to find words that aren't there. I personally think a good night's rest and a walk through my gardens tomorrow is a great way to teach you a lesson. My brain freezes before melting into a puddle. "I'm sorry." He sits beside me on the bed, grabbing my chin and forcing my eyes to merge with his. "I am not punishing you for something you had no control over," he murmurs. "I will not punish you ever. Period. You could light my kingdom on fire, and I would only ask where you wanted a new one built. You are not my subject, Inara. You are my queen." I blink so many times that my eyelids twitch. But what I was suggesting was something I would love to experience with you when you're sober. He interrupts again. "You basically spoke my thoughts out loud. My only hesitation was your fogged mind." My heart skips, dancing on clouds that shouldn't be there. I try to think of something, anything, to say, but I draw blank in every direction. At my silence, Aziel only smiles before saying, "You need to sleep. I'll be right here when you wake up." I'm too exhausted to even argue. I can't help noticing, though, that even though the drugs are long gone in that toilet, I don't completely regret what I did. A sudden thought comes into focus, sharp and clear. I want Aziel. I would love to know what you think of the story so far. Aziel. Make this quick. I snap. If Inara has to wake up alone because you two can't spit it out, then this conversation isn't worth my time. Revere shifts on his feet, his face becoming impossibly pale as he says, "We found the prince." Shock zips through me like a flash of lightning, but I show no outward reaction as I look to Levi. He nods, but his face doesn't hold the triumphant look that usually accompanies his successes. He looks shaken. When Thomas, my advisor, came to my room reporting that Levi and Revere were waiting in my office, I could barely conceal my enthusiasm as I quietly left Inara to her rest. Looking at them now, though, I can see that something is very, very wrong. "If you found him," I start, so low that it almost sounds deadly. Then why the hell isn't he standing in this room with you? Revere lowers his head, sensing the danger in my voice, but Levi only stares, unflinching, at my face. We have suspicions, he says slowly, almost hesitantly, that the prince is working with the Sun Kingdom to plan something that is beyond our knowledge at this point. Ice floods my veins, so cold it feels like even my heart freezes for a second. And what causes do you have to make such bold accusations? I all but snarl. Pointing fingers at royalty is a risk that could get those fingers chopped off. Levi knows this, which is why I know his suspicions lead to a bomb I'm not sure I want to unpin. Levi clears his throat and crosses his arms, something he does only when he's nervous. We followed tracks all the way along Blue River until they just vanished. There was nothing after that, like they had simply disappeared. Levi takes deep breath, and it sounds like it trembles slightly. I wish that were the case, because all of a sudden we were surrounded by soldiers that had bright yellow sun pins plastered to their chests. He swallows hard. And your brother was in the middle of them. Wasn't he wearing a pin, and his clothes still represented his kingdom, but it looked like he was leading them. A fuzzy noise fills my head, like cotton rubbing together. The air suddenly feels too light, and my body too heavy. I always knew my brother was troubled, but to lead a Sun army? We don't know for sure that's what he was doing, my wolf says calmly. What else would he be doing in the middle of Sun army? I snap. My patience is so thin that I'm surprised it hasn't snapped. How are you here? I ask, my voice bordering on lethal. If you were surrounded, then how are you standing here? The prince let us go. Revere speaks this time, his voice questioning, like even he can't believe his words. He looked at Levi like he recognized him, and then he took our weapons and shoved us in the other direction, never speaking a single word. That doesn't sound like my brother. He was often the one who caused trouble when life dulled on the edges. He would cause unnecessary riots in the soldiers' barracks and stir up trouble in the maids' quarters. He was chaos walking, until he wasn't anything at all. How close to my kingdom was this interaction? I ask, becoming the king who isn't personally involved. This isn't my brother, it's just a man causing trouble on my borders. A threat that needs to be addressed. Both men shift uncomfortably, sharing a look that speaks more volume than words ever could. About half a day's walk away from the south entrance, Your Majesty, Revere says gravely. Half a day? I ask incredulously. On foot? Our enemies lie a breath away, and you didn't think to start with that? Since when is your brother considered an enemy? My wolf asks coolly. Since he decided to lead them. I run both hands through my hair, exhaustion tugging at me from all angles. The last 24 hours have been a roller coaster of too many events, and my mate is asleep in my room, drugged up on something that nobody can figure out. I'm so worn out that my face is probably leaching in its color. I want patrols doubled at every entrance, I command, calling on the king they need in this moment. The gates are not to be opened for anything unless I personally oversee the reason for it. Night shifts need to be tripled in men. Understood? Revere, being captain of most of my troops, nods, bowing low before rushing to complete my demands. Tell Thomas I want a meeting with the Sun King, I say to Levi. I'm willing to meet as soon as possible, and I would prefer it if the conversation happened in his kingdom. Levi nods. Consider it done. A knock on my office door sounds the minute after Levi exits. Loud and insistent. I open it to find Penny standing there, her cheeks flushed and breathing labored. Your Majesty, please excuse my interruption, as she says breathlessly. The drug that Inara was given is very strange, so I worked almost all night researching and testing, and the results are not good. She pauses to catch her breath, and I can't help the impatience that burns inside me. What is it, Penny? I ask. I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. I really thought it would wear off on its own, but then I started digging and Penny! I interrupt, grabbing her out of her thoughts. What is it? It's a sun poison, and by the results I procured, it doesn't look like a very harmless one. Icy fear fills my head, shooting down my spine and all but paralyzing me. What do you mean? I ask, panic practically dripping from my voice. I mean that this poison is a burning drug. It basically lights someone on fire from the inside out. No, my wolf says in horror. I shake my head, confusion warring with fear. But Inara never said she was hurting. And she threw most of it up. Penny squeezes her eyes shut before opening them again and starting to pace, her hands wringing in front of her. That's how it starts, she says, her words rushed. A loopy and unnatural mind is first, and then nausea and stomach compulsions, and then the drug works deeper, latching onto organs and muscles, bones, and tissues. Anything it can reach, and then it starts to feed. Dread floods my body like a tidal wave, and I don't think about anything except getting to Inara until my hand is brushing across my door. It swings open, and I rush to my bed, finding Inara exactly where I left her. She isn't in a peaceful slumber like how I left her, though. She's curled in on herself, groaning softly as she grips her middle. I rush to her side, brushing my fingers across her forehead and immediately snatching my hand back. She's scorching hot. What do I do? I ask Penny, my voice so panicked that I almost don't recognize it. How do I make it stop? Her eyes are wide and scared, and I know before she answers that this situation is not something a little solution can fix. I declared war when I took Inara from the Sun Kingdom, and they are showing me exactly what it means to raise arms with them. I'm so sorry, Penny whispers helplessly. I didn't I wish I could maybe I can. Stop, I command. Don't do that to yourself. This isn't your fault. For now, do you know of any pain medication we could give her? Anything that could ease the pain even slightly? She looks thoughtful for a moment before nodding with brighter eyes and rushing from the room. I try to touch Inara's shoulder and instantly pull it back with a wince. So it's not just a fever. Her whole body is sizzling from the heat that's consuming her insides. Inara, I murmur, taking the heavy quilt from her body. Love, can you hear me? She whimpers quietly, and I curse under my breath. This might just kill me as well. I can't stand the sight of her like this. It's ripping me apart. I can't even touch her. I will rip that sun bastard limb from limb for doing this to her, my wolf snarls. I'm going to enjoy watching him suffer for causing our mates such pain. We can't kill him, I say begrudgingly. We would only cause more war and riot. Well, we can certainly make sure his punishment is a painful one. I go into the bathroom before rinsing a washcloth with water so cold my hand goes numb under the stream, and then I bring it out to Inara. I swear I hear it sizzle as it connects with her forehead, and I barely contain my grimace. She turns her head into the cloth, seeking the relief it offers, and I lightly run my fingers down her rosy cheek before pulling it back in frustration at the fact that I can't even touch her right now. She's in pain, and I can't hold her. My gaze is drawn down as her eyes open blearily, blue orbs looking at me through a heat-glazed stupor. It's really hot in here, as she says quietly, furrowing her brows. My heart just about tears in half at the pain I hear in her voice. I want to wrap her in my arms and never let go. to hold her until an idea hits my head like a brick, and I all but leap from the bed in my haste. I turn the faucet on the bathtub to freezing before plugging it and waiting until it's full to shut it off. I rush back into the room and pick her up, careful to keep my hands on her clothes. The heat penetrates the cloth almost immediately, but I push through until the bathtub is front of me and I set her in, clothes and all. The water gives off a violent hiss of steam before settling. Inara's shoulders lose their tension, and instantly I can feel my heart relax slightly. Better? I ask, smiling when she sinks further down into the tub. She nods sleepily, but then her eyes turn sad. You weren't there when I woke up. You are the worst mate to ever live, my wolf snips. As if I wasn't feeling like shit already. I'm so sorry, I say, brushing a few wet strands of hair out of her face. I had some things to take care of. I thought I would be back before you even thought about waking up, but then this happened. She shifts uncomfortably, and I dip my fingers in the water to find it hot. All my stars, I whisper in frustration. I wish I could find something to help her, but it looks like the only solution is an audience with the Sun King. I'm about to waltz into that palace unannounced if none of these ideas work. I pull the plug and turn on the cold water at the same time, letting the stream run over Inara as the boiling water goes down the drain. What is wrong with me? She asks, head leaning to rest against the tiles at her side. Anger sizzles under my skin, almost as hot as hers as I think about what that mutt did. It's the drug, I start. Penny thought the effects would wear off within a night or so, but it's much more complicated than that. Burning Daisy, she whimpers. Surprise strikes me. What? It's a poison the Sun King invented to get his subjects to be more obedient, she explains. He didn't have to use it often, but the threat of it was enough. He kept the antidote locked up and secret where only he could find it. They were to show their allegiance to him and get the antidote, as she swallows hard. Or die trying. Urgency fills me, and I grip her hand, holding it under the stream of water so I can keep holding it. You aren't going to die, Inara, I promise. There are a lot of things I can accept in this world, but your death isn't one of them. I am going to get that antidote, and you going to live. Remember, Kiana? That favor you asked can't be completed unless you stay here to see it through. A spark enters her eyes at the mention of her friend, and I smile before pressing a single kiss to her forehead and standing. Penny is going to look after you while I'm gone. I won't be gone long if everything goes well. Be careful, she whispers. I will be, I promise, and then I walk away, leaving a piece of my heart behind, but I know I'll come home and it'll go right back in place. It has to. Aziel. Riding back to the Sun Kingdom makes me feel sick. The last time I was in a carriage en route to the peppy dreamland, I was going to find my mate, and now I'm going there to save her. Oh, how quickly fate can switch its gears. Levi sits across from me. A rarity, but I really didn't want to sit in here alone with my thoughts. They still swirl in my head, taunting me with the fact that my mate is potentially lying on her deathbed. My fists clench, stomach knotting, and knees starting to bounce. I really like your shoes, I blurt like an idiot. I can physically feel the awkward shift in the air. I can also feel my wolf slam his head against my skull. Repeatedly. If there was ever a time I could switch bodies, this would be the moment I think of as I fling myself from your head. Fair enough, I suppose. My shoes? Levi asks, his brows furrowed but also raised at the same time. I look down to the black running shoes. They actually look quite worn out. Why am I even surprised when you act like this? My wolf questions. I should know by now that you're a complete idiot sometimes. It's better than thinking about our mate's impending doom, I snap back. Damn it. Now I'm thinking about it. I rub my eyes with my thumb and forefinger. I'm sorry, I just don't know how to deal with the riot of emotions raging in my brain. I get it, Levi says. You don't have to explain. Just don't compliment my shoes. We both know they look like trash. A laugh bursts out of me, and a little bit of tension seeps out with it. They do look like they've seen better days, I say. I don't think I've ever been this friendly with Levi. With anyone, actually, and it feels kinda good. It feels freeing to release the king persona for a few seconds and just be a man talking to another man. Joking around and laughing. Inara's words tilt back in my head yet again. You aren't as horrible as you let the world believe. Levi chuckles lightly, but not fully, unfamiliar with what he's dealing with. I like to think it gives them character. I glance down at the fraying edges and fading color. Sure. We'll call it character. He laughs lightly again, but still not fully. It's my fault. I put these walls up, and only I can tear them down. Whoever said you had to conform with the voices around you? Her words swirl through my head, pushing the truth in front of my face. How's your mate? I ask. I don't have to conform. I may be a king, but that doesn't mean I have to be heartless, and I think that is exactly what Inara meant. Levi looks up at me with surprise, his eyes widening slightly before he clears his throat and says, Is she S? Oh, she S good. Pregnancy takes its toll, but she S handling it like a champ. I had no idea his wife was pregnant. I had absolutely no clue he was expecting a baby. Because you don't talk to him unless it's for work-related reasons, my wolf grumbles. I can't even be offended, because he's right. I am so sorry, Levi, I say, grimacing as I pull a hand through my hair. You should be home right now, with her, but instead you're helping me take care of my mess. He actually looks alarmed for a second. No, Your Majesty. It is my duty to assist you, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's an honor to work with you. I swallow the emotions tangling in my throat. I have countless people aiding me, and what do I give them in return? Aziel, I say, holding his eyes to make sure he understands. You are my second in command, and one working so close to the king shouldn't bother with such titles. You can call me Aziel. He looks thoroughly confused, and I can't say I blame him. What is happening? My lips twitch slightly. I got a mate, I start. She made me realize that I've been ruling with a stick up my ass, and I think it's time I pull it out. I wince at my choice of words. Don't tell anyone I said that. He smiles, and I silently rejoice in the fact that it looks genuine this time. I'm not promising anything. You're the one who chose to say it. I scoff. So this is how it's going to be, here? I give an inch and you pull another 20? He smirks. I think 30 would be more fun. Another laugh bursts out, and I revel in the feeling of shedding the king. Just for this moment. The light is somehow brighter than last time as I step out of the carriage, like the sun is laughing at my predicament. Levi steps out after me, and as soon as my eyes land on the peak of the sun tilted on the sun castle's roof, I'm charging towards it. Levi rushes to catch up, speaking low as he says, and maybe we should have talked about the plan more. The plan is to crush his throat until he shows us where the antidote is, I say simply. I don't know how long Inara has, but I'm not about to exchange pleasantries with the man who has my mate's life in his hands. Two spears are suddenly blocking my path, and I have half the mind to shove the two soldiers into the nearby lake. I think better of it, instead standing taller as I stare them down. I dare them to argue, my wolf growls. Let them experience consequences for wasting our time. What is your business here? The one on the left asks. His chin is quivering in its tilted position, trying to stay confident but losing the battle quickly. Pathetic. If you don't move, I start, deathly calm. Then I will remove you. Both of their throats bob, and I almost roll my eyes. We have orders to a one them starts, but a grating voice cuts them off. Aziel. The cheery tone is so fake that I can practically see the sarcasm dripping from his lips. I believe these men need a moment of my time, Alexander says, smiling. You can let them through. The two soldiers sag in relief before stepping aside, and I don't hesitate before my feet are bounding up the steps. I don't even care about looking desperate at this point. Inara could have minutes left. My office would be best, Alexander says as he walks through the wide golden doors. Follow me. His stalling is making my teeth grind. He knows he has a superior position here, and he is abusing his advantage. Reflecting sun and golden banners burn my eyes as we walk to his office, the colors so opposing to mine that it feels like I'm in an alternate reality. I suppose I am. The door to Alexander's office shuts behind us, and I don't waste another second before backing him into the corner. Where is it? I snarl. He looks unfazed as he lazily glances up, meeting my eyes with a challenge. Is that any way to talk to me? I do hold something very precious to you in my arsenal. He smirks. Or should I say someone? My fangs flash, my wolf pressing on the surface so violently that my head begins to pound. If she dies because of some grudge you hold, Oh, it isn't a grudge, Alexander says, still smiling. I simply love to play, and your mate was fortunate to become one of my toys. My fingers itch to wrap around his throat, to squeeze the life out him, to watch as his kingdom fades into black. My mate is no longer yours, ere I say, my voice controlled. Nor was she ever. She is, and will always be, mine. The last word comes out sharp, my control slipping before righting itself again. And yet her life rests in my hands, he says thoughtfully. How interesting. My patience is skidding down a very short hill, and I know I don't have long before it snaps. Give me what I came for, I demand. Absolutely, he says with fake sincerity. But I thought you would want to know who injected her. The one who is to blame for all of this. Surprise flickers, but I shove it down. I had assumed those details will be set straight later, once I figured out how sun folk are getting into my pack. I never could guessed he would tattle on his people. People he sent to do his dirty work. It doesn't matter whose hands they were when I know exactly what mind had the idea, I reply, crowding him further. But it wasn't my idea, he smiles all too knowingly, and apprehension skitters down my spine. What are you talking about? I ask, impatient. Every minute we stand here is another minute Inara suffers. Levi, Alexander says, taking his eyes off me to look at my seconds standing by the door. Would you open the door? I believe there's someone out there waiting for our company. Levi looks to me, and I hesitate only a second before nodding. I could never have guessed who would be waiting on the other side. I'm so pleased you could join us, Nicholas. Alexander says joyfully. Our conversation is just starting to get fun. Aziel. There was a moment, years ago, when 4 people lived in a perfect bubble. Twin brothers adored by 2 loving parents. Twin princes spoiled rotten by the king and queen. They were like the family you read about in books. Affectionate, caring, loving. Never any conflict, and barely a fight to be seen. It was like magic, until one day, the spell broke. On the eve of our 19th birthday, our father died of an unknown heart failure, and, burdened with the news, my mother became a shriveled-up shape of what she used to be. She became distant and quiet. Presumably scared that he would have to take the king's title, my brother fled in the middle of the night, leaving a crown behind, and more importantly, leaving his family behind. We were no longer a fairy tale. I took the title as king, even though Nicholas was 3 minutes my senior, and I started to rule the Moon Kingdom. I took care of my depressed mother until she finally came out of her shell slightly, and I sent hunts out to look for my brother. I grew into a role I wasn't made for, while my brother ran from his responsibilities. I became a king. He became a coward. I stare at him now, still dressed in moon clothes but bearing the essence of a Sunday. His amber eyes look tired, like the weight of the world rests in his irises. His black hair is longer now, even though I distinctly remember him asking mother to shave it every time it grew the slightest inch. I suppose a lot has changed since he ran. A humorless laugh slips past my lips. All this time I've been looking for him, hoping that maybe he didn't run. Maybe he was in trouble. I was both scared and excited to find him again, to figure out the cause and work through it. What I didn't expect was for him to hop into the Sun Kingdom like a lost dog. I didn't expect him to turn on his own kingdom. His own family. You bastard, I grit out, rage simmering beneath my skin like an inferno, ready to burst within a second. Regret flutters in his eyes for the barest moment, but then his expression turns to stone. "Hello, brother," he says calmly. His voice is like a boomerang coming back to hit you in the head after being lost for so long. It's both painful and yet so familiar that my chest aches. I suck in a breath. I came here for one thing. I don't need Nicholas, and I don't need his story. I just need to save Anara. Give me the antidote, I demand, turning back to Alexander and making sure that he sees my wolf growling behind my eyes. That would be nice, wouldn't it? He says, eyes turning to a fake kind of wistful. To live out your life with the one you love? To know that she was safe? If only we could all have nice things. If you don't give me what I came for, I swear this whole kingdom will turn to ashes under your blazing sun, I snarl. He smirks. I wish it was that easy, he holds my eyes as he says. My mate didn't get to live, so why should yours? My lungs stutter for a second before blasting back. What are you talking about? This time it's him who gets in my face, eyes full of hatred as he spits. Your father let me leave with a dud. My mate was sick, and he didn't even think to warn me. I wouldn't have wasted my chance if I had known she was going to die before even getting crowned. Panic claws at my throat. He's really going to let Anara die just because of some delusional theory. My father wouldn't do that, I say with certainty. He wasn't a bad man. Some people just get sick. It's how the world works, Alexander. No, he growls. That's how your world works. Why can't it be both? I ask in a rush. It is both. Sometimes people get sick for unknown reasons, like my father, and sometimes they get sick because of revenge, like my mate. It works both ways, but I don't think my father poisoned your mate, Alexander. He wouldn't. You know he wouldn't. He has to know. My father didn't have a single bad bone in his body. Alexander has to know that. They were friends, if my mother's stories are anything to go by. His eyes turn sad, and the sudden change gives me whiplash. It was so easy to blame him, he whispers. Then again, it's always easier to blame someone else. Please, Alexander, I say, my voice bordering on begging. Don't take away my mate just because yours was so cruelly snatched. Be the better person. Be the better king. I wasn't he the one who did it, he hisses. That's what you don't understand. My actions stopped that first night after the fight we had. I had planned to get Inara back somehow, but I didn't because I knew what it felt like to have love ripped out of your arms. He takes a breath, eyes shuddering for a second before turning hard. I couldn't do it. He looks to Nicholas. But he was all too willing. I wanted revenge, and so did he, so we formed a mutual beneficial alliance of sorts. It's not an alliance, and Nicholas quickly interrupts. I ignore him, instead keeping my eyes on Alexander. It doesn't matter who poisoned her, I all but snarl. If I don't get the antidote, she is going to die. The words rip at something in my chest, pulling on my heart until it's bare and bleeding beneath my ribs. He doesn't have it, and Nicholas says, sounding impatient. I do. My spine stiffens as I turn to face him. His eyes look almost clear in the sunlight filtering in from the windows, but nothing could disguise the amber that matches mine. We are the same, but yet so different. Levi shifts on his feet, reminding me of his presence, and my eyes stray to his for a moment before looking back to Nicholas. Get the carriage ready, I say to Levi, my voice so chilled I can almost feel the ice in my throat. Levi nods, assessing Nicholas for a moment before striding out of the room. Give it to me, I demand, not even sparing manners. He doesn't deserve my kindness. On one condition, he says sternly, his eyes wavering ever so slightly before hardening yet again. He trying so hard to be brave, and yet he melting under the heated pressure that he picked up. If you think, I start, my voice lethal as I slowly walk toward him, that you are in any position to make bargains, then I suggest you think again. It's not a bargain, it's a plea. He stares at me, and I see so much and so little all at once. There's so many questions and confusions between us, and he's choosing to ignore it all. Apparently fate has a sense of humor, and I was unfortunate enough to be on the receiving end of its jester, he starts, anger rolling in his gaze. I have a mate here. I would like for her to enter into the Moon Kingdom. Even after everything he has done, sadness still tugs on my heart as I say, you know as I do that only one royal couple can stand at a time. It was a way for the kingdoms to stay in one power, instead of being overthrown. We are to wait to find a mate until the crown is passed to us. The laws are clear. We don't have to be royal, he argues. We can be peasants for all I care. I never wanted the crown anyway. You know that I would never try to steal it. It is not my rules. I all but yell. I can't change it, and it is unfair of you to withhold something from me when what you want cannot be offered. He throws his hands in the air, the first crack in his person that I've seen since the door opened. You're a king, Aziel. You can do whatever you want. Shock is like a punch to the stomach. Oh. You're such an idiot sometimes, my wolf mutters. Fine, I snap. Give me her name and the antidote and it will be done. His lips twitch, almost like he might smile, but then he just nods, reaching into his pocket. The antidote in exchange for my mate, he says. I nod impatiently. Yes. He hands me a vial of green liquid before saying, her name is Kiana. Aziel. Kiana? I repeat, just to make sure. Nicholas nods. That S my mate's name. Inara's best friend. The girl I was planning to get from here. I wonder if Keanu knows the risks Nicholas has taken in order to have her. The person he's endangered just so she could be part of his life. I turn back to Alexander as I say, I want all your men out of my pack before I get back there. If I ever find out that you have more planted, I will burn this palace to the ground. Alexander swallows hard. His only show of fear. Of course. I have no use for them there anymore. What a mess. The fact that he had use for them there in the first place is ridiculous. All because my brother found a mate. The things that love make us do. What did you get out of this? I ask Alexander. Because from my point of view, you have less than you started with, and you don't seem to mind. His motive is still unclear. He wanted revenge, but he didn't get it. His eyes flicker down before raising to the roof. I wanted to watch you scramble, as I had. I thought that if I watched another king turn to scraps at the sight of their love and danger, that I would feel better about myself. He laughs humorlessly. It was pathetic, and I don't even know why I'm telling you. It doesn't feel good to watch someone suffer when you know exactly what it feels like. I don't feel better, and I created unwanted conflict between us. Life isn't fair, but I thought maybe I could beat it at its own game. It didn't work. I blow out a breath. How did everything get so out of hand? And for what? Pride? Ego? Love? Revenge? Everything mixed together? You're a good king, Alexander. I don't know why I say the words, but there they are. He smiles sadly. Not as good as you. He straightens, holding his hand to me. We are no longer at war, Aziel Maret. I would like to officially declare peace between our packs, if you're willing. I almost smile, but Inara's life still hangs in the balance, so I only nod before shaking his hand. I like the sound of that. Now go save your mate, he says. I turn back to Nicholas. His eyes are empty and distant, like a storm that's just settling, floating away on clouds that are no longer heavy. You have an enormous amount of explaining to do, I say coolly as I walk past him. Inara. My insides have long since melted into pools of fire, swirling around my body as they search for more flesh to feast on. I don't think I feel the pain anymore. It's more numb now, like the heat has burned through all my receptors. It both agonizing and relieving. A cloth touches my forehead. The same cloth that Penny has cooled over and over. She has not stopped tending to me. I don't have the strength to tell her to stop. To tell her to go take a nap or eat something. I don't even have the strength to move anymore. Everything feels weighted and weak. Even my eyelids are heavy. My limbs don't work and I can't so much as twitch without agony burning up my skin. I'm dying, and there's nothing I can do. It doesn't matter. Someone yells. It's muffled, as if through a door, but I think it's a girl. Nothing matters if she doesn't live. She sounds distressed, but then again, it could all be in my head. A swishing sound occurs, and a light gust of air touches my skin before it turns to steam. Penny, please tell me we aren't too late. Aziel? I want to call his name. I want to pull him to me and beg him to never leave again. I just want to burrow myself beside him and forget about the pain, but I can't speak. I can't even move. She is completely out of it, Your Majesty. I don't expect her to last another hour, a Penny says sadly. The words blur, mixing with the buzzing in my head. I'm almost unconscious, I think, but I can't be certain. We have it, Penny, Eaziel says. Penny gasps, and suddenly my shoulders are lifted, tilting to accommodate the person behind me. Sharp wisps of heat lick up my back, leaving trail after trail of hot, fiery pain. My breath shudders, and I try to cry out. To tell them to stop, but I can't open my mouth. I'm so sorry, love, your soft voice murmurs in my ear. It'll all be over in a minute. Here, another voice says, but I can't decipher who it is. Everything is blurry and muffled. It should be easier for her to drink it this way. Inara. Gentle hands prod at my mouth, coaxing my lips to open. I need you to swallow this. Horrible tasting liquid touches my tongue and I gag, coughing once, then twice as I feel it dribble down my chin. Damn it, someone whispers. I need more. My chin is tilted up this time, and I don't even feel the flames of fire anymore. I don't feel anything at all. Come on, love. My lips are opened yet again, the disgusting liquid dripping on my tongue and down to my throat. I try to cough it up again, but my head is tilted and it goes right back down. Please, Inara, your voice begs, their words right at my ear as a gentle kiss is laid there. You have to swallow. The liquid finally makes it down my throat, and my muscles are forced to comply as I swallow it. For a moment, there's nothing, and then a gentle wave starts, easing every flame as it passes through my body. All my muscles relax under its calm influence, and I finally give into the lull of sleep. Eaziel. Did it work? Kiana asks, her face full of worry as she gnaws on her lip. I take the gloves I was given from Penny off before I lightly brush Inara's sweat-soaked hair off her forehead, and relief slams into me as I realize I can touch her again. It worked, I say in relief, pressing my lips to her forehead as I sigh. Penny squeals as she bounces in place, and Kiana and I both cringe at the sound. We should move this party outside, I say quietly, brushing my lips against Inara's skin one last time before I gently remove myself. I usher Kiana and Penny out, and once the door shuts behind me, I sag against it. I really thought she was gone for a second there, I say, blowing out a breath as I rub my eyes. Seeing her, lying on my bed, covered in sweat and completely immobile. I never want to see her like that again. I would sell my kingdom before letting her suffer like that again. Penny rests a gentle hand on my shoulder. She's okay, Your Majesty. She's safe and she's alive. I clear my throat, suddenly feeling like this moment is too vulnerable. I have a kingdom to run, and a lot of questions to be answered. Hey, Penny, I start, letting a small smile creep up my mouth. How would you and Kiana like to be in charge of the decorations for the crowning ceremony? Another squeal slips before she covers her mouth. Really? I nod. Really? She grabs Kiana's arm, but Kiana's eyes are still locked on mine. I'm sorry, Your Majesty, as she whispers. I didn't know. If I had come to realize that. It's not your fault, Kiana, I say, holding her gaze. I don't blame you. Nicholas is his own mind. Thank you, she says. For saving her. I have a feeling those words are for more than just today. Always, I say. Satisfied, she bows low before following Penny down the hall. The walk to my office feels like it should be more exciting than it is. Instead, though, I'm apprehensive and mad. It should be exciting and exhilarating to welcome Nicholas back, but instead all I feel is rage and sadness at the mess he created. The mess that I had to clean up. I open and shut the office door with more force than a sorcery, but I can't say it doesn't make me feel a tad bit better. Nicholas is standing by the window, arms crossed and eyes hooded, looking more miserable than I've ever seen him. When we got here, after bearing the wrath of Kiana, who was like a powerhouse of rage when she's upset, he said that he would be in my office whenever I was ready. Well, I'm ready. I want the whole story, I demand. And it better be good, because I can't hide you in here forever, and people are gonna ask questions if I throw you out. Nicholas takes a deep breath before turning to face me. I'll start from the beginning. Aziel. Nicholas doesn't he look me in the eyes as he thinks. I have a feeling that if our gazes locked, both of us would see emotions that aren't meant to be shared right now. I know you think I'm a coward, he begins. And rightfully so. I left my little brother at a time that he needed me most. I left my family when they needed someone to depend on. He breathes deep before letting out a heavy exhale. I couldn't be king, Aziel. Bullshit, I snap, crossing my arms. You were just as capable as I was. More so, actually. He laughs quietly, but there's nothing joyful in it. That's where you're wrong. When father died, something in me became broken. I don't know how to explain it, and I don't expect you to figure it out, but I couldn't stand in this kingdom without him. It felt darker than normal when he left, and I couldn't stand it, so I left. I went and hid like the coward I am until Alexander's soldiers found me. Alexander offered me a place to stay for a couple days, and that's all I intended to take, but then I saw Kiana and I knew I couldn't just leave her there. His eyes close for a moment before opening, staring at the ground as if it's a lifeline to his words. I knew the laws about having two royal couples, and so I plotted with Alexander. He was angry about how you left things, riding the high of anger, and I took full advantage of it. Wait, I say, holding up a hand as dots connect in my brain. You were there? That night of the festival, you were in the Sun Kingdom? He swallows. Yes, and I debated long and hard on revealing myself right then and there, but I couldn't. Because I had nothing to guarantee Kiana's safety. Anger rushes up, but I push it down. So this whole time, you've been with the Sun Kingdom? He grimaces. I couldn't stand the suffocating darkness, Aziel, you have to understand, And I could. I yell, the anger no longer gracious. Mother could. Do you know how depressed she became? She didn't come out of her room for 2 weeks. I had to watch her shrink more and more every day because of your selfishness. You left your family to deal with what you didn't have the guts to face. You are pathetic. His breathing shudders, and he nods. I know. That's it. That's all I get. He rubs a hand down his face. I can't change what I did, Aziel. I can't turn back time or erase days that I wish were different. Nothing matters anymore except going forward. I'm here, right now, and I'm never leaving again. I will be here to do whatever you need me to do. I can't fix what is broken, but I can try to make sure it doesn't break anymore. My molars grind, anger so potent in my blood that it stings as it flows through my veins. I wasn't made for this. It was supposed to be you. He finally meets my eyes, and the anger almost washes right out of my system completely. He looks heartbroken, and it cracks something inside me to see the older brother I always looked up to shatter before my eyes. And yet fate always knew it would be you, he says softly. I might have been intended for the throne, but I wasn't made for it. I was never made to rule this kingdom, Aziel. I was never the one who stayed up late watching father sort through political problems. I was never the one who begged to sit in on his meetings. I was never as interested nor confident enough to even consider taking Father S' place. You are a damn good king, Aziel, and this kingdom wouldn't even be half of what it is today if I was in your place. Don't butter me up with flattery, I mutter, but despite my words, my lips are twitching. He smiles slightly, but then his eyes turn sad, and regret twists his features. For what it's worth, I am sorry. I never wanted you to hurt because of me. The sad shift between us feels too taut, like a line both of us are attempting to but not quite crossing. It's ridiculous. I walk the last couple feet between us and pull him into my arms. It's worth a whole damn lot. His entire body relaxes as he sighs in relief, and he reaches up to squeeze me back. I pull back with a smirk on my face. I'm definitely taller than you now. He screws his features up. You are not. I make a show of testing with my hand. Like, at least 5 feet, I think. He slaps my hand away. That's not even possible, and besides, I'm still older. Oh, by 3 minutes. Get over it. He smiles. Never. This is the Nicholas I know. Teasing, loving, and tender. I don't know when or where he found himself, or if maybe Kiana gave it back to him, but I'm glad to have my brother back in front of me. He has a lot to make up for, and some things will never be the same, but he's here, and he's trying. I couldn't ask for anything else. My mother is sitting at her vanity when I step into her room, and she looks up in surprise. Oh, darling. What brings you here? Is your mate all right? I heard she was sick. Sick. I guess that's a good enough explanation. I clear my throat. A lot has happened in the last couple of days, and some things have changed. Actually, a lot has changed, and I need. Her hands rush up to cover her mouth as a gasp slips free. Oh, honey. I'm so excited. I know you wanted to wait a little bit longer, but this is going to be great. I promise. What is she? Oh. Mom, stop, I say, chuckling. Inara, isn't he pregnant? Her face falls, and I feel bad except that I'm laughing too much. It feels incredible, and I know exactly who the cause is. I couldn't let myself be completely happy when I knew someone I loved wasn't in the picture, but now Nicholas is back. Oh, she says, straightening. Excuse my assumptions. What was it you needed? I open the door wider, and her eyes become giant plates of surprise as they fill with water. Is it a sob breaks from her throat? Is it really you? Nicholas closes the distance, hugging her with so much force that I consider intervening so she doesn't suffocate. I thought you had and your father, and then my baby boy, she sputters, sobbing with fervor now. I know, and Nicholas murmurs. I'm so sorry. He pulls back. I have a lot of explaining to do, but first, you are going to eat something. Deal? She smiles. Deal. Surprise hits me in the face. I had to beg her for hours just to nibble on something, and here he is, bargaining with no resistance. Nicholas looks back at me with a small smile. I've got this. I believe you have a mate in need of your company. I nod. Thank you, Nicholas. The door shuts quietly behind me, and I smile all the way back to my room. We are never going to be perfect. Nicholas has tons of groveling to do. I will constantly mess up as a king. Mother may never be as attentive as she once was, but we are here, all together. It's enough. For now, it's enough. Inara. The first thing I notice when my consciousness comes back is that nothing hurts. There's no fire, and I can move without any sharp pains. I'm still lying in Aziel's bed, as evidenced by the luscious, soft, and comfortable material beneath me, and that means that I'm still in his room. I don't remember much from the last day or however long I was out, but I do remember that I haven't left this room. It's like the one thing that kept me linked to reality. Aziel's scent is everywhere, and it's both intoxicating and comforting. It's more potent now, though, like he's been here recently. I wish he was here right now. Walking along the cliff of death really makes you realize that life is too short to cower in the presence of what you want. Either you take it, or you regret refusing it. Rough fingers skirt along my forehead, tingles following their path. My eyes open, hoping but not expecting to find Aziel there. I almost throw myself into his arms as I realize that it really is him. "You're too far away," I mumble, my voice still groggy with sleep. Surprise flashes in his eyes, and I can't say I blame him considering I am equally surprised, but then it's gone as he smiles wide. "I didn't know you wanted me to be closer," he says, climbing onto the other side of the bed. "My apologies, Your Highness." My breath stutters and I cringe. That's quite the title, Your Majesty. Are you sure it belongs to me? I don't realize I'm holding my breath until my chest begins to burn. I can't believe how much I'm riding on his answer when I already know what it's gonna be. He's made his intentions clear from the beginning. He leans close before tucking a stray strand of hair behind my ear. I can't think of anyone that would suit it more. Relief burns through my body, but this time it doesn't hurt. It feels like hope, real and true, for the first time in a long while. "How are you feeling?" Aziel asks, looking me over as if he can see the evidence of what that drug did. I shift just to make sure it doesn't sting, and then a small smile lights my lips as I say, "Is so much better." His fingers fiddle with the loose hair that's splayed on my pillow, reminding me that I probably look like a disaster right now. "I thought I was gonna lose you," Aziel murmurs. There's so much pain in his voice, like the mere thought is enough to have him spiraling. I sit up slightly, testing the soreness in my muscles before I lean over to lay my head in his lap. He stills for a minute, and instinct has me tensing, ready to jump off of him if necessary, but then he relaxes. His hands fold into my hair, lightly playing with the strands, and it feels like the most natural thing in the world. "My parents passed in a forest fire," I blurt. The sentence is so sudden that even I'm surprised for a minute. Something about this moment, though, has me wanting to tell him things. He asked about my family when I came here, and I lied, thinking that the truth would get me punished, but as I lay here after avoiding death, I can't help but want to tell him everything. He doesn't say anything, but I can tell he wants me to continue, so I do. My father was a soldier, and soldiers don't hesitate in the face of danger, so when he saw that the forest had caught fire, he ran into action. He managed to get most of it under control, but then a surprise patch caught him off guard. My mother told me to stay inside the house as she ran in after him. My breathing shudders as I remember what happened next. I waited for hours for them to come back, and when they didn't, I went looking for them. The forest was blocked off, and when I asked one of the soldiers what had happened, he told me they had died. A single tear runs down my cheek, but I wipe it away. So many children lost their parents that day. We became orphans, and since children can't work as soldiers, we became servants in the palace. I hadn't realized another tear had fallen until Aziel's finger brushes it away. "I'm so sorry you had to go through that, love," he says. "You will never go back there. I promise you." I shift so that I can see his face, making sure that our eyes connect as I say, I'm not scared of them anymore. I know that you'll protect me. A smile lifts his lips, and my eyes drift down, watching them tilt. I look for too long, and when I glance up, his eyes are heatedly staring back. Goosebumps raise my flesh as he stares at me. He looks transfixed, and it does something to my insides. I swallow, and his molten gaze tracks the movement. I would very much like to kiss you right now, he whispers. Excitement stirs my gut in circles. Well, I start, breathless. You are taking entirely too long to decide if you're going to act on that desire. His smirk is the last thing I see before his lips are on mine. Fireworks pop across my mouth, and it feels like nothing I've ever experienced before. His lips fit against mine perfectly, and kissing him feels like coming home. He pulls back, breathless as he rests his forehead on mine, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of the smile that's on my face. That was the greatest thing I've ever done in my life, I say, just as breathless. He chuckles. That's just the beginning. Anticipation roars to life inside me, clawing with the need for more. I reach up to wrap my arms around his neck. Why don't you show me the rest of the story? I ask, a mischievous lilt to my voice. I've never been so forward, but it feels good. His eyes darken, his wolf clearly warring with him. Are you sure? He asks. I remember when I first came here. The horror that had captured my attention as he said we would share this room. I remember the terror that took root at the implication of pleasing him. I don't feel that same fear now, but some hesitation is still there at my inexperience. I'm not sure how, I mutter. But I do like to try. He rubs his nose up my jawline and I shiver. All you have to do is tell me what feels good, he murmurs against my skin. And as soon as something doesn't feel good, we stop. My breath catches as he kisses up my neck. That sounds easy enough. Something close to a purr rumbles in his chest before he says, good. The blush staining my cheeks isn't going anywhere. Trust me, I've tried. Nothing can wipe what Aziel and I just did from my head. It plays on a constant loop through my mind as I go in search of Kiana. After events that shall not be named for the sake of turning my cheeks back to normal, Aziel told me about everything that happened while I was out of it, including bringing Kiana back. I basically jumped out of bed at the mention that she was here. The one thing that kept me sane in the Sun Kingdom was Kiana. The fact that I left her there was a devastation that pulled on my heart daily, but now she's here, and I can feel the excitement at seeing her again building. Giddiness makes walking at a normal pace nearly impossible, but I only just manage as I walk through the dining room. Something tells me that she'll be in here, especially given our limited resources back in the Sun Kingdom. We were offered scraps, but Kiana always managed to sneak more. Zara pulls open the kitchen door right as I go to push it open, and a panicked expression lights on her face. Inara, she says, quickly shutting the door behind her. All of my excitement dies on the spot at the look on her face, and fear settles in my stomach. What? I ask, fidgety. What happened? She laughs suddenly, and the mood change gives me whiplash. Nothing happened. She guides me away from the door. I'm just so surprised to see you here. Confusion twists my features, but I clear it away. Do you know where Kiana is? She practically pushes me away from the kitchen as she yells. Yes. Kiana was here a minute ago, but she just left. I touch my ears lightly, cringing. Why are you yelling? She looks around the back door before turning back to me, smiling widely. Okay, you can go find her now. A smile raises on my lips despite the confusion of the moment, and I cross my arms. What is going on right now? Her eyes blink twice before she waves me off. Nothing. Everything is normal. I nod my head in a skeptical sort of slant. Oh, here. Inara. I don't even have time to turn around before a body is barreling into mine, and I laugh like a crazy person when I realize who it is. Kiana pulls back to look me in the eyes as she says, "You have no idea how much I missed you." I put my hands on my hips. Definitely less than I missed you. She squeals, and the sound is a welcome relief. We have so much to talk about. She wraps an arm around my shoulders, leaning in to whisper, starting with why your cheeks look like twin roses. Oh great. An obnoxious gasp sounds, and we turn around to find Zara's stunned face. Did you finally have S? I rush to cover her mouth, giggling when she pouts. I will tell you everything if you promise to be quiet. I whisper yell. They both smile. Do we get details? Kiana asks. I shove her away. Don't be gross. But I'm laughing, and so is she, and it finally feels like the world is right again. Aziel. This is amazing, Zara. I soar in awe as I stare at the masterpiece in front of me. It's a 4-tiered cake covered in white fondant and sprinkled with some kind of black and silver dust. It's magnificent. Zara looks surprised at the compliment, but she smiles and nods. Thank you, Your Majesty. Inara almost saw it earlier, but I think her and Kiana will stay busy now. I nod. How is the decorating going? She beams, and I immediately know that asking her to help was the right thing to do. When Penny asked me to do all the string lights, I was intimidated, but it looks so beautiful, and I'm so excited to see it all come full circle. Her eyes widen suddenly and she bows. I apologize, Your Majesty. My rambling gets the better of me sometimes. I smile, waving her off, and she stares at me in shock. Honestly, I'm pretty shocked myself. The difference in me has slowly graduated as Inara has been here. I'm more lax with the staff, and my subjects no longer cower in my presence. I'm not the heartless king anymore. I'm the gracious ruler, and it feels so much better. Hello, Zara, a smooth voice says from behind me. Zara glares over my shoulder. If you so much as look at this cake, I will starve you for the next 3 years. I turn around in time to see Revere raising his hands. I was only gonna ask for a fruit, he says in defense. My lips twitch despite my trying to hold in a smile. An apple hits Revere's head with a thunk, and he grimaces with a nod. Thanks for that. I turn back around to Zara. I trust you have the meal for tonight planned? She whips her gaze back to mine, schooling her irritated features. Of course, Your Majesty. Everything will be perfect. I nod my thanks before walking out, but my steps don't evade the starts of a yelling match. It's hard to keep hollowed stomach soldiers fed, but with a drill sergeant like Zara, there's no way they get anything more than what she offers. Henry. I call as he walks in through the double doors. He strides over with a smirk in place, as usual, and I barely refrain from rolling my eyes. What can I do for you? He asks. Did you do a sweep for Sun Soldiers? He nods. All of them were escorted out before you came back from the Sun Kingdom, and Movie and I did 2 extra look-arounds just to make sure. Good. Make sure nothing like that happens again. Confidence flashes through his eyes. I already reinforced all of the entry points, and all of the soldiers have been informed on this incident, so they're making sure it never happens again. I'm surprised for only a moment before I say, thank you, Henry. He bows dramatically. Anytime. Inara. I can't believe we both have royal moonmates, Ikiana says. What are the odds? I sigh dramatically. So slim. We're in the room she was given in the palace, and lying on her bed is like sleeping on the floor after feeling how comfortable Aziel's bed is. Kiana, I hate to break it to you, but I think you've been duped, I say, pushing up on my elbows to look at her. She gasps, but there's humor in it. Why? I make my face go very serious. Because my bed is so much more comfortable. She shoves me back down, giggling. That's because you share it with a king. I look over at her. Why don't you share the princess bed? She shrugs, looking up at the ceiling. I told him I wasn't ready. I reach down to squeeze her hand. I understand completely. What we endured at Sun was awful, and it takes time to heal from stuff like that. I'm always here if you want to talk. She smiles over at me. Thank you. I think I just need to adjust. Exactly, I say, sitting up. And you take as much time as you need to do that. She lurches up suddenly, looking at me with wide eyes. I forgot to tell you about Valeria. I don't mention the subject change. I just raise my eyebrows, prompting. Her and Vince got together. I slap my hands on the bed. The lonely mopper? She laughs. Yes, she got together with the lonely mopper. Maybe they'll be good for each other? I say, but it's more of a question. Kiana bursts out laughing, and soon my giggles are following. There's no way. She says between fits of laughter. You're right. They'll probably kill each other. She nods. That's way more likely. We go back and forth with stories and gossip for so long that I don't realize what time it is until my stomach gives a growl of protest. A knock on the door follows soon after, and I look to Kiana in confusion. Was Nicholas coming by? She bites her lip to hold in a smile. No, but some very pretty dresses are. Then she turns toward the door before yelling, come in. A swarm of fabric and people enter Kiana's room, and my next breath is cut short by the lady pulling me into a gown. We look like actual royalty, I say as I stare at Kiana's and my reflection. Apparently we needed to be fitted for new wardrobes, and the seamstress insisted we keep our favorite dress on, so here we are, decked out in material so pretty that I feel unqualified to be standing in it. I chose black with a tight bodice that drops at my hips, fluttering down into a gorgeous array of layers upon layers of tulle and lace. The shimmering sparkles twinkle as I spin, and I can't help the laugh that escapes. You look like a queen, Kiana whispers, staring at me. I gesture to her dark purple, mermaid-style dress. And you look like the princess you were always meant to be. She grabs my hands, gushing as she says, and now we go dance the night away. My brows furrow. Dance? A knock sounds on her door once again, but this time it opens to reveal twin brothers. I still can't believe Aziel has a brother, but after all that he told me about him, I kinda get why he was never mentioned before now. They look scarily similar. Same eyes, same hair except that Nicholas' is longer, and same facial shape. And same suit? What is going on? I ask, smiling as Aziel walks toward me. The suit he's wearing makes me wish I was back in his room alone with him, but I stuff those thoughts away. I think, Aziel begins, grinning like a sly cat, that it's about time my queen was crowned. My eyes widen as I stare at him. A crowning ceremony? Tonight? My voice squeaks on the last words, my heart pounding through its cage, and it feels really hot all of a sudden. Kiana takes Nicholas's hand and smiles as she pulls him to the door. We'll give you guys a minute. The door shuts quietly, but nothing seems quiet anymore. Everything is loud and beating in my ears. A steady rhythm of you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not ready. Gentle fingers grab my chin. Hey, where do you go? Aziel brushes his lips against mine, and immediately my heart responds, calming a fraction. Tell me what just happened. I take a deep breath, but the nerves just beat harder. I don't think I'm ready, I whisper, dropping my eyes to my shoes. He guides them right back up, making sure our gazes lock before he asks, that's what you're worried about? I can tell you right now that you're more qualified than me when I first started. I bite my lip, trying to direct my attention anywhere but my thoughts. I'm scared, I mutter. He touches his forehead to mine, and I close my eyes, breathing in his scent. What if I told you that being scared is normal? That if you weren't scared I would be worried? He reaches down to grasp my hands. I know you, Inara. I know your greatest fears and deepest wants. I can say with certainty that nobody in this world is better suited to stand beside me than the women standing right here. I open my eyes, pulling back to look at him. But what if I mess up? He chuckles. The first board meeting I ever had, I threw up halfway through my first sentence, but I'm still here, ruling with a minor embarrassment penalty. I smile. Just minor? He sighs. It's pretty major, actually. I think about it at least once a day. A laugh breaks free from my mouth, and my chest instantly feels lighter. His small grin is adorable, and I'm struck with how lucky I got. I have you, I murmur, more to myself. His whole face splits into joy. That's right, love, and I have you. In a world full of flickering shadows, we need the stars that make them stand still. You are my star, Inara, and I promise I will always be your shadow. I grin. I'm ready now. He bows dramatically low. Then we better go get your crown. Inara. There are a lot of people waiting as Aziel and I walk outside. There's also an enormous amount of decorations. String lights hang from all the trees bracketing the backside of the palace, and each one emits a tiny glow that makes the surrounding space twinkle. Tables lined in black fabric litter the grass, and dishes have been neatly set upon each one. There's a little something everywhere you look, and it's absolutely gorgeous. You did this? I ask Aziel, turning around to face him. He shakes his head with a small chuckle. I'm flattered that you think I could do all of this. Penny and Kiana orchestrated all of the decorating, and Zara did everything related to food. But everyone kinder helped with everything. My staff knows how to throw a party. I grin as I look back at the crowd. They sure do. He holds out his hand. Are you ready to rule this kingdom with me? I link our fingers before saying, it definitely. I am officially the Queen of Moon. It feels pretty surreal to say that. Nothing feels different, but somehow I know it's about to be a lot different. Do I have to start calling you Your Majesty now? Kiana asks, grimacing. Because that is kinda weird considering I've known you almost all your life. I laugh as I take a bite of cake. I think I like my name much better. She takes a giant bite of her dessert, talking around a mouthful as she says, good. Where is Zara? I seriously need to thank her for introducing my taste buds to this work of art. And work of art it was. both the look and taste of it. I look around, finding nothing. Maybe she went to bed? I say, looking one more time. Something hits our table so suddenly that I jump, looking up to see Zara standing there, hands braced on the table and an excited look on her face. I danced with someone. My eyes widen, excited. Zara. That's awesome. Who is it? A dreamy look passes on her face as she says, I don't know, but he was so handsome. Kiana giggles quietly, but I laugh out loud. How do you not know? I ask. She slumps into the chair across from me, but that dreamy look is still in place. Didn't he ask for his name, she says, brows furrowing. But I do that he SS soldier, so that narrows it down a little for when I ask him later. I raise an eyebrow. Why don't you just go ask him now? She looks appalled. I can't. I'll look desperate. Zara, darling, men don't read that deep into things, Kiana says, smiling. I bet if you ask him right now, you will look nothing but eloquent. Does that work the same with women? Kiana's head whips around, and I look up to see Nicholas standing behind Kiana's chair. He holds out a hand. Do I look eloquent as I ask you if you would join me for the next dance? Kiana swallows before donning a nervous smile and laying her hand within his. I would be honored to join you. Zara sighs as they walk away. They're so cute. They really are. I say. A throat clears behind me. May I have this dance, Your Majesty? I smile to myself before turning around to face Aziel. You can't keep calling me that. He smirks. Why not, Your Majesty? I shake my head, but I'm smiling too wide for it to mean anything. Because I like my other nickname better. He bows before holding out his hand. All right, my love, may I have this dance? You may. I go to stand up, but turn back at the last second. Go get your man, Zara, I whisper, making sure our eyes lock. Love doesn't he wait for breaks in a song. It tears through the whole playlist. Go find your happily ever after. She grins before jumping from her chair and practically sprinting for the dance floor. What was that about? Did she finally find someone? Aziel asks. I stare after her, smiling. Yes, she did. Aziel tucks a curled piece of hair behind my ear. Did you ever find yours? I look back at him, brows furrowed. My what? He smiles. You're happily ever after. I shake my head, but I'm still smiling. No, I wrap my arms around his neck. It found me. We aren't on the dance floor, but he starts to sway us side to side. I love you, he murmurs, leaning down to kiss my lips. My smile feels like a drug as it rises on my face. I love you too. He spins me out, and then pulls me into a dip so fast that I almost lose my balance. A pop sounds, and I startle, but then another goes off, and another until the air is filled with pops and shoots. Look up, Aziel whispers. I do, and the sight makes me gasp. The sky is covered in blue and silver. Splattered shapes dot the wide expanse in a canvas of chaos, and it's beautiful. Cheers and shouts rise everywhere, and I laugh as I wrap my arms around Aziel. Thank you, Aziel, I say into his chest. You made this day truly special. He rests his chin on my head, and it feels so right, so perfect that I can't believe it's real. But it is, and I get to live in this moment forever, resting assured that it will never falter, because I have my shadow to make sure it stays alive.